Chapter 1237. What exactly happened last night? Tell me! Xiao Qin sent a voice projection, feeling suspicious as he looked at the bone dragon remains all over the ground. Wang Yuzhu looked around and whispered, "Last night, a group of bone dragons went berserk and charged at Yiling's tent. The pressure on us half-step Emperor Wu's was much lower." Xiao Chen's heart skipped a beat. Since it was directed at Yiling, that meant that it was not because of his azure dragon martial spirit. Could it be that Yiling has something on him? Otherwise, how could he attract so much hatred? Or perhaps, as a dragon slayer, this fellow naturally attracted the hatred of the dragon race. However, Xiao Chun was more concerned about another problem. As he looked at Yiling, who was discussing matters in the distance, he asked, "Did he make a move?" "No. That group of Emperor Wu thinks very highly of him and immediately protected him." Xiao Chen's eyes flickered as he entered deep thought. Then he said, "Stay closer to me for the rest of the journey. This operation is probably as you said. We are probably just sacrificial pawns in their hands. They probably do not intend to let us return alive." "Are you confident of escaping from Emperor Wu's hands?" Wang Yuzhu asked in disbelief. Xiao Chen did not elaborate. "Just follow me. When the time comes, you will naturally know that I never do things rashly. Enough talk. Yiling's group is coming." Yiling and the red-haired Emperor Wu came over. Then they gathered the group of half-step Emperor Wus and started to give instructions. The desolate plain of fire is filled with fire-attributed dragon race, ferocious beasts. You all work together to scout the way. Do not split up. We will take care of you from behind, ensuring your safety. Old Hong originally wanted to say something to let Xiao Qin take the lead. However, when he thought about the sharpness in this fellow's eyes, he swallowed back the words in his stomach. "I'll let you be cocky for now. When we reach our destination, I will destroy you first." After entering this dragon grave, the half-step Emperor Wus no longer had much say. They could only follow the other party's instructions. The 7 of them walked together and started to scout the path on the barren plains of fire, giving the Emperor Wu some time to catch up. However, there were also benefits to this. The 7 people walking in front would occasionally discover some divine material ores on this desolate plain of fire. In the outside world, these ores would be considered rare items. Even if the red-haired Emperor Wu and the others were envious, they wouldn't have the nerve to ask for it from this group of people. Of the group, Xiao Chun gained the most. He could not do anything about it. Last night, he had used his heavenly eye to memorize all the precious ores along the way. After every battle, he would find something good in a corner that no one would notice. Peak grade, scorching flame, crystal. Yi Qin, you discovered it again. After another battle, Xiao Chen found a blazing flame crystal in a pile of lava. Such a crystal was of great help to cultivators who cultivated fire-attributed cultivation techniques. Even Emperor Wu could use it. It was not just the half-step Emperor Wus that felt envious. Even the red-haired Emperor Wu and the others had a strange look in their eyes. This masked youth's luck is extraordinarily good, the Emperor Wus thought. After the other Emperor Wus took a look, he no longer paid attention to them. After all, they had agreed that Xiao Chen would be the first to discover it. Only Old Hong's eyes lit up with greed. After a long time, Old Hong reluctantly looked away. However, the seed of greed had already been planted in his heart. Xiao Chun smiled faintly and did not care too much about it. These were just appetizers. If they were not lightning-attributed energy gems, no matter how valuable they would not truly interest Xiao Qin. What Xiao Qin truly cared about was the suspected heptagold origin. This was the greatest temptation for Xiao Qin. Although there was a heptagold origin among the treasures that the Thunder King left behind, there was only one piece, less than 50 kilograms. In Xiao Chen's opinion, the lunar shadow saber would not become a divine weapon. However, once it became a divine weapon, it would have to be qualified to become a transcendent divine weapon. Xiao Chen's goal was to gather at least 500 kilograms of heptagold origin and 9 lightning-attributed demonic cores of Emperor Wu. When Xiao Chen looked around, the lava pool where the heptagold origin was located was about 10 kilometers ahead. Whether it was the heptagold origin or not would be clear soon. After resting, the half-step Emperor Wus regrouped and started scouting again. Soon, the group passed the blazing lava pool. Xiao Chen started to feel anxious. This place was unexpectedly smooth. There were no ferocious beasts. Without ferocious beasts, there would be no fighting. If there was no fighting, Xiao Chen would not have a chance to fish up that heptagold origin amid the chaos. If Xiao Chen suddenly went to a lava pool and fished up a heptagold origin, anyone would be able to tell that something was wrong. What should I do? Xiao Chen felt very anxious. If he could not think of a solution, he would have to pass by and miss out on this opportunity. Wait a moment. Just as the group was about to pass the lava pool, Xiao Chen suddenly called out, stopping everyone. What's going on? Yi Qin, did you discover a dragon race ferocious beast? Yiling asked, feeling suspicious. The other half-step Emperor Wus felt confused as well. If there was no chance, they could only create one for themselves. They absolutely could not miss out on the heptagold origin. Xiao Chen maintained his calm and nodded. That lava pool in front seems somewhat strange. However, I do not dare to be certain. A ferocious light flashed in Old Hong's eyes. He immediately said, in that case, you go over and take a look. We'll watch you from behind. Xiao Chen rejoiced in his heart. I was just waiting for you to say that. However, on the surface, he still revealed a displeased expression. Let me do it. I also find this lava pool somewhat strange. Just as Xiao Chen was about to step forward, the red-haired emperor would notice the displeased expression in Xiao Chen's eyes. Then, as if trying to resolve the conflict between the two, he suddenly spoke up. Xiao Chen was slightly stunned. He had not expected such an accident to happen at such a crucial moment. This pretense was a little overboard. How was Xiao Chen supposed to respond? Could it be that he had to watch as the red-haired Emperor Wu obtained the heptagold origin right before his eyes? Xiao Chen's expression turned somewhat stiff. Although he quickly recovered, it did not escape the red-haired Emperor Wu's eyes. The red-haired Emperor Wu walked over to Xiao Chen's side and smiled. Your eyes are pretty good. Now, I'm really curious about your identity under that mask. However, there is no need for you to make a move this time. I'll do it myself. There is no need to thank me. There is still a long way to go. I do not wish to see you and Old Hong clash forever. Xiao Chen felt depressed and speechless in his heart. You did not make a move several times when it was extremely dangerous. Instead, you came here to play the good guy at the crucial moment. Aside from the heptagold origin, what danger could there be in this lava pool? However, even though Xiao Chen cursed in his heart, he could only smile embarrassedly and say, Thank you, senior. Old Hong appeared somewhat embarrassed. He had not expected the red-haired Emperor Wu to step forward at this moment. The red-haired Emperor Wu walked forward step by step. Soon, he arrived before the lava pool. Then he looked at the vast pool of lava with a stern expression. The molten lava bubbled and bubbled non-stop. Every time a bubble popped, the residue that shot out gave off horrifying chi-chi sounds in the air. Xiao Chen's heart leaped to his throat. Originally, he wanted to use the life bestowal spell to create a diversion and then fish out the heptagold origin during the chaos. Who could have expected the red-haired Emperor Wu to suddenly charge over? You hid pretty well. If I were not standing so close, you might have dodged it. Come out. The red-haired Emperor Wu roared ferociously. Emperor Wu's second heaven martial emperors might spread out, causing ripples to appear in the air. Xiao Chen felt startled in his heart. He quickly circulated his ruler's tyrannical aura to resist this aura. This was Xiao Chen's first time seeing the red-haired Emperor Wu make a move. He had not expected his aura to be so strong. However, Could there really be some danger in this lava pool? Just as Xiao Chun was feeling doubtful, an overwhelming wave surged out of the lava pool. It was like all the lava was flipped upside down, revealing a bottomless black hole in the plain. Before Xiao Chun could be shocked, he saw a fiery red dragon flame quickly flying towards the red-haired Emperor Wu. Everywhere it passed, the air instantly burned to nothing, turning everything pitch black. It was unknown how high the temperature was. Faintly, a ripple could be seen in space, and the world around them began to shake. That dragon flame was not simple at all. An expression of lingering fear flashed on Xiao Chen's face. If he had really charged forward, he would have died already. What kind of monster was hidden in this lava? The few half-step Emperor Wu retreated in a fluster. This level of battle was no longer something they could interfere with. Old Hong and the others behind showed grave expressions. They circulated their primordial energy, preparing to help at any time. As he retreated, Xiao Chun suddenly remembered that he had to find that piece of, or that he suspected to be the heptagold origin. Sweeping his gaze around, Xiao Chun looked at the rising waves of lava in the sky. Indeed, he found a strange golden rock in the lava that had already floated into the sky. Upon closer inspection, it looked very much like the heptagold origin that he had seen before. Coincidentally, everyone's gazes were focused on the deep pit in the ground and the mysterious monster. No one paid attention to the sky. However, before Xiao Chun could show any joy on his face, the golden heptagold origin was submerged in the lava. Then it crashed to the ground along with the lava, nowhere to be found. Xiao Chun panicked and looked around. However, no matter how hard he looked, he could not find it. Bang! Before Xiao Chun could think too much, a massive head poked out of the deep pit. There was a snake crown on its head. This was actually a flame serpent dragon. The flame serpent dragon was one of the most dangerous monsters in this desolate plain of fire. Its strength rivaled that of a first heaven martial emperor, Emperor Wu. Furthermore, it had the geographical advantage here, and its strength still needed to increase. Whoosh! The flame serpent dragon shot up. Unexpectedly, it passed by the red-haired Emperor Wu and charged at Yiling. The 4 Emperor Wu guarding Yiling did not panic. They all stepped forward and shielded Yiling, working together. They forced the flame serpent dragon back. Beast, die! The red-haired Emperor Wu took advantage of this opportunity to attack. He threw a palm strike, and 2 layers of fiery rings appeared behind him, dyeing the sky red for 5 kilometers around. The 5 Emperor Wu surrounded the flame serpent dragon and beat it while it was down, not giving it a chance to turn the situation around. Chapter 1238. Everyone knew that this startling battle would definitely attract many ferocious beasts of the same level. 1 flame dragon snake was not scary. However, if a group of ferocious beasts of the same level came, it would be problematic. The battle was extremely intense. Emperor Wu brought out his true abilities. The group of half-step Emperor Wus observed carefully and learned something. However, Xiao Chun did not have time to pay attention to them. He retreated quietly and formed hand seals with both hands. Then he said softly, "Life bestowal spell." Immediately, the rock under Xiao Chun's feet turned into a small snake under the effect of the life bestowal spell, silently swimming around. As Xiao Chun watched the group of Emperor Wu's battle with the dragon snake, he used his consciousness to control the small snake to swim to where the lava had fallen and search everywhere. With 5 Emperor Wus attacking at the same time and 1 second Heaven Emperor Wus present, the flame dragon snake was firmly suppressed from start to end. Soon it was riddled with wounds. However, the red-haired Emperor Wu's group did not show optimistic expressions. They could hear several fearsome roars in the distance, stirring up the wind and clouds. Yiling's eyes flickered, and strands of black aura appeared on his body. He hesitated on whether to make a move or not. When Xiao Chun saw that black aura, fear appeared in his heart. The blue dragon martial spirit, which had been suppressing its roar, quietened down at this moment, trembling somewhat. Could it be? Xiao Chen was very familiar with this aura. However, Yiling revealed too little of it, so he could not make 100% guess. Found it. Suddenly, Xiao Chen, who was multitasking, rejoiced in his heart. The little snake had finally found that golden ore in that pile of lava. Just as Xiao Chen shifted his attention to it, Yiling, who was in the air, suddenly made a move. He narrowed his eyes, and his figure flashed as he landed a palm strike on the flame dragon snake. The originally berserk flame dragon snake's aura suddenly weakened, and its strength strangely plummeted. By the time Xiao Chen shifted his gaze, the 5 Emperor Wus had already found an opportunity to deal a sure-kill blow to the flame dragon snake. The flame dragon snake's corpse shattered into pieces, no longer showing any signs of life. Ao Jiao, did you see how he attacked? No, it's too strange. I don't even know how he did it. Xiao Chen could not help feeling disappointed. This was a rare opportunity to see Yiling's origins, but he lost it. Fortunately, he had found the heptagold origin. While Emperor Wu was resting, he took a step forward and silently came to the front of the magma. His hand shot out like lightning and grabbed the golden ore in his hand. Upon closer inspection, wild joy appeared on Zhang Xian's face. It was indeed a heptagold origin. Furthermore, it was at least twice the size of the one in the Thunder King's inheritance. However, he still needed to refine it a little and remove the impurities before he could know exactly how heavy this heptagold origin was. Without thinking too much, Xiao Chen put it into his universe ring and turned around. However, when Xiao Chen turned around, his expression changed. At some point in time, Old Hong had appeared behind him, looking at him coldly. What a fellow! We worked ourselves to death, but you are rather straightforward, following behind and taking advantage of us. What did you just take out? Hand it over and let me see. Xiao Chen replied coldly. Just because you said I'll show you, I'll show you. Who do you think you are? When the others saw this scene, they felt curious and slowly walked over as well. Then they all looked at Xiao Chen. What's going on? What's going on with the two of you? The red-haired Emperor Wu asked with a frown. Xiao Chen did not fear anyone. However, this red-haired Emperor Wu was Emperor Wu's second heaven martial emperor. He was not someone to be trifled with. If Xiao Chen discovered the heptagold origin, he would definitely have to run. It was unknown whether he could keep the heptagold origin or not. Xiao Chen felt depressed in his heart. Unexpectedly, there were so many twists and turns in one heptagold origin. The moment Old Hong opened his mouth, he smeared Xiao Chen's name. This fellow took away one of our treasures. Xiao Chen smiled coldly and said, strange. Since when did the treasure I discovered become yours? Old Hong's face sank, sharp-tongued. Are you trying to quibble again? We were the ones who killed the flame dragon snake. Logically speaking, the thing in the lava should be ours. I think you are too impudent. Do you really think that we, Emperor Wus, are easy to deal with? Quickly hand it over. If we want to kill you, we can do it in a matter of minutes. Don't blame us for making a move on a junior. A suspicious expression flashed in the red-haired Emperor Wu's eyes. He looked at Old Hong and asked, What exactly is it? Why are you so nervous? Old Hong was startled when he heard that. Just as he was about to say something, he thought about it and realized that he did not see it clearly either. It seemed to be a piece of heptagold origin. If he told the truth, the red-haired Emperor Wu was the strongest here. If it really was a heptagold origin, there would definitely not be a share for him. After hesitating for a while, Old Hong did not tell the truth. I did not see what it was exactly. It seems to be another peak-grade flame, crystal rock. It is just a peak-grade flame, crystal rock. Is there a need to be so greedy? Look at the time. Let's go. When the red-haired Emperor Wu heard that it was a peak-grade flame crystal rock, he could not help cursing. After that, he looked at Xiao Chen and said meaningfully, Young man, your eyes are pretty good. Clearly, Old Hong also suspected that Xiao Qin had some ulterior motive for saying that there was a problem with the lava pool earlier. Being stared at by this person, Xiao Qin felt a chill run down his spine. The pressure from this person was much greater than Old Hong's. Emperor Wu was indeed extraordinary as a second Heaven Martial Emperor. Emperor Wu was also a minor Heavenly Martial Emperor, but the difference was actually so great. On this trip, Xiao Chun had to be careful and guard against this person. Otherwise, he might fail miserably at an easy task. Let's go. If we do not leave now, it will be too late. Yi Ling said in a rush after he took out the flame dragon snake's demonic core. When Xiao Chen looked around, he could sense strong auras heading over from all directions. The ground rumbled, and everyone could feel the ground shaking violently. The fight with the flame dragon snake probably startled all the martial emperor-level ferocious beasts in the entire desolate plain of fire. No one dared to linger. They all executed their movement techniques and quickly left this place. As the group flew at lightning speed, Xiao Qin and the others took the lead. The group of Emperor Wu followed behind. Even at this moment, they had to give themselves some buffer time. Brother Zhao, do you treat that masked brat as one of your own? Or do you treat me as one of your own? Old Hong asked the red-haired Emperor Wu in dissatisfaction from the group of Emperor Wu. The red-haired emperor replied indifferently, I really don't know how you became Emperor Wu. That masked brat clearly has the highest value among the 7. Even if the others die, this brat will be the last to die. As for the grudge between you and him, when we reach our destination, I naturally will not bother. Yi Ling said, this person is not simple. Last night, when he was keeping watch, he probably took the opportunity to explore the entire area. For him to be able to move about freely among so many ferocious beasts alone, his movement technique must be extraordinary. The red-haired Emperor Wu nodded and said, that's right. Such a strong consummation blue-robed emperor should rank within the top 10 of Emperor Wu's reserve list. We have to kill such a person when we reach our destination. Otherwise, he will become a problem in the future. When he becomes a martial emperor in the future, he will probably seek out Old Hong first, the other Emperor Wu said. When Old Hong heard this, he quivered. He smiled coldly and said, do you think I'm afraid of him? No matter how arrogant he is just a consummation blue-robed emperor. If I use my full power, I will not be able to kill him in more than 10 moves. That's right. Young Master Yi, how confident are you of opening the grave of that fire dragon general? I heard that this fire dragon general is one of the old Dragon King's 8 great generals. Several sovereign martial emperors could not open the grave. Yi Ling said calmly, those people could not open it because they did not have the key and did not know the exact method. I went through a lot of trouble to obtain the key. As long as nothing unexpected happens, I am completely confident. When the others and Emperor Wu heard this, they all revealed expressions of joy. The grave of the fire dragon general was like a castle guarding the main grave of the Dragon King. Given their strength, exploring the dragon grave would naturally result in death. However, exploring the grave of the Dragon King's subordinates would still stand a chance. However, we have to keep these cannon fodder for now. Firstly, I have the key. As long as the ferocious beasts in the desolate plain of fire smell the aura, they will attack me. Secondly, when we reach the fire dragon general's grave, we can use the physical bodies of these people to open the grave. Old Hong nodded and said, don't worry. I understand the general principles. If not for this, given my temper, that masked brat would have died thousands of times already. Naturally, the half-step Emperor Wu, who led the way, did not know that from the moment they stepped into the distant sea dragon grave, there was already no way out. This group of Emperor Wu, who had ulterior motives, did not intend to let them leave this place alive. The latter part of the journey was even more arduous. There were clearly more attacks, but the harvest was also greater. Although they did not find any divine herbs, the divine materials and natural treasures that the group of half-step Emperor Wu found in the desolate plain of fire were equivalent to 10 years of harvests. If they could return, they would have made a huge profit on this trip. As for Shao Qian, there was no need to even mention him. The value of one piece of heptagold origin was even greater than the harvest of these people combined. Heptagold origin. This was something that even Emperor Wu would be tempted by. He would break his promise and kill for it. However, the further they went, the more Shao Qian discovered that something was wrong. Towards the end, the number of times that Emperor Wu attacked increased. It was like Emperor Wu was unwilling to watch them die. Sometimes he would even take the risk to block the attacks of some ferocious beasts. Given the indifferent attitude of this group of Emperor Wu, Shao Qian naturally would not think that they were acting up. Wang Yuzhu, when we reach our destination, remember to be careful. I have a bad feeling about this. Yi Qin, are you saying that this group of Emperor Wu will attack us? That can't be. What value do we have for Emperor Wu to attack us? At worst, we will just give them the treasures we obtained. That's hard to say. In any case, there is nothing wrong with being careful. As Shao Qian spoke, the battle did not stop. Aside from scouting the way, this group of half-step Emperor Wu could only harass the group. The main force was still that group of Emperor Wu. If they did not follow this group of Emperor Wu, given the strength of a half-step Emperor Wu, it would be impossible for them to barge in. Chapter 1239. 3 days later, the fatigued group finally walked out of the desolate plain of fire. With Yi Ling leading the way, they passed through many hidden tunnels. 1 hour later, a vast and majestic grave appeared before the group. Rows of flaming red sculptures lined both sides of the road. The air was incredibly dry. It felt like the air they exhaled could ignite. At the end of the road was a mysterious formation that sunk into the ground. There was a circular hole in the middle of the formation. It was somewhat far away and could not be seen clearly with the naked eye. This is the grave of the Fire Dragon General. Is this your destination? A half-step Emperor Wu exclaimed in shock. The Fire Dragon General was one of the old Dragon King's 8 great generals. Aside from the main grave, it was one of the 8 most valuable graves in the distant sea, Dragon Grave. However, it was rumored that even sovereign martial emperors were helpless before this grave. Could it be that Yi Ling's group had a way to open the grave? Yi Ling smiled faintly and said, "You guessed right. However, sorry, there is no reward." Pu Xi, the 5 Emperor Wus attacked at the same time, each executing a killing move and mercilessly attacking the 7 half-step Emperor Wus. The red-haired, middle-aged man struck the first half-step Emperor Wus, who spoke and burned him to ashes. The other 4 Emperor Wus also attacked. Although they all struck one person, they could not achieve a one-hit kill. The difference in strength was clear for all to see. As for Shao Qian and Wang Yuzhu, they had been paying attention. When the other party unleashed their killing intent, they quickly turned and fled, dodging the first wave of attacks. "Leave these 2 fellows to me." A greedy look flashed in Old Hong's eyes. He rushed ahead of the other Emperor Wus to chase after Shao Qian and Wang Yuzhu. "Yi Qin, you are right. This group of Emperor Wus is too deranged. What benefits can they gain from killing us half-step Emperor Wus?" As Wang Yuzhu fled, he still could not figure it out. Originally, he thought that this mission would be more difficult. Unexpectedly, at the last moment, Emperor Wu would personally kill them. No matter how he thought about it, he could not figure out why. What benefits could a half-step Emperor Wus gain from killing them? In the past, Emperor Wus had recruited half-step Emperor Wus to explore the distant sea, Dragon Grave. Although the mortality rate was high, there had never been a situation where a half-step Emperor Wu was killed. Even if a half-step Emperor Wu fancied a treasure, they could just force it. How could a half-step Emperor Wu compete with a true Emperor Wu? In the end, they would obediently hand it over. of a monster like Yi Qin was an exception. Shao Qin smiled coldly and said, "Are you surprised?" "Emperor, Emperor Qin, Emperor of the said, Emperor, star, Emperor, thousand." "Emperor," I said, "Ling Chun," I said, "what do we do now? Isn't it too difficult for the two of us to walk out alive?" Qin and of, an and an a and all, and said Ling and said of, and. "Don't worry. Just follow me," Shao Qin said calmly. Suddenly, maniacal laughter reverberated behind them. "Brat, now you know how to run. Weren't you very cocky back then? Why are you running? If you have the guts, stop. This old man will squish you to death with one hand." The maniacal laughter carried a heavy emperor's might that could topple mountains and flip the seas. Rumble. Emperor's might spread out, surging over. Old Hong's maniacal laughter ripped off a layer of the ground under their feet, forming a storm that surged towards the two. Wang Yuzhu's expression changed. "Oh no, this old fellow is chasing us. It will be hard for us to escape now." The two looked back and saw Old Hong tearing space with his bare hands. His figure pierced through the void. Although he did not travel far, his speed was faster than the two's movement techniques. Furthermore, with the storm behind them interfering, it was only a matter of time before Old Hong caught up to them. "Only this guy managed to catch up to us?" Shao Qin opened his heavenly eye and looked back. Indeed, only Old Hong was chasing them. The other emperor must have gone to chase the others. "Mask Brat, aren't you rather gutsy? To think that you dared to clash with me in front of so many people, causing me to lose face. Why are you running now?" The rage that Old Hong had suppressed in his heart for a long time erupted. His roar was like thunder, making everyone flustered. Anyone who heard this voice could feel the overwhelming, killing intent in it. Whoosh! Shao Qin closed his heavenly eye and turned around, stopping just like that. This startled Wang Yuzhu. "Yi Qin, are you crazy?" Shao Qin smiled faintly. Then his face sank, and a murderous intent appeared in his eyes. "It is just a first heaven, Emperor Wu. Watch how I kill this old fellow." Old Hong, who had been chasing Shao Qin in the distance, suddenly sensed that Shao Qin had stopped. His face immediately lit up in joy. "Little brat, you really dare to stop? Do you think that I cannot kill you?" After saying that, Old Hong estimated the distance and took 2 steps forward. Each step covered 1 kilometer. Then he thrust his sword and tore a tear in space, disappearing in a flash. Old Hong prepared to cross space and suddenly appear, dealing a killing blow to Shao Qin. "Pussy-eye!" Shao Qin raised his eyebrows. He sensed a tear in space 10 meters in front of him. The speed at which the tear extended was incredibly fast. In the next moment, Old Hong leaped out of it. However, to Old Hong's surprise, Shao Qin did not seem surprised at all when Old Hong tore space and charged over. It was like he had guessed it long ago. At some point in time, a war banner flickering with 5-colored starlight appeared in Shao Qin's hand. "What secret treasure is that?" Old Hong's eyelids twitched, feeling a bad premonition. "I've been waiting for you for a long time. Die." Shao Qin's lips curled up in a cold smile. The instant Old Hong leaped out of the spatial tear, Shao Qin raised the cycle banner in his hand and charged over. In the next moment, Wang Yuzhu saw a scene that he would never forget for the rest of his life. Suddenly, all the dark clouds in the sky scattered. Thousands of stars in the pitch-black night sky formed a magnificent and enchanting scene. 5 beams of starlight of different colors formed a beam of light that soared into the sky. Suddenly, it descended from the sky and formed a gorgeous, colorful screen of light behind Shao Qin. The screen of light continued endlessly, looking like a dream. When Shao Qin held the cycle banner, it was like he was holding a divine spear. When the 5 states merged, the boundless astral energy carried by them reached the peak of speed. Before Zhang Xian could react, Old Hong, who was still holding onto his sword, maintained his posture of leaping down. The tip of the banner stabbed into Old Hong's chest. With a PUCI sound, a bowl-sized hole appeared on his chest. The hole was smooth and flat without any gaps. Piercing through the void? That is an Emperor-grade secret treasure in your hand. How is this possible? When Old Hong saw the wound on his chest, an expression of extreme horror appeared in his eyes. He could not imagine how a consummation blue-robed emperor could control the might of an Emperor-grade secret treasure so freely. If Old Hong had known that Xiao Chen could control an Emperor-grade secret treasure, he would not have dared to chase after Xiao Chen even if he was 100 times more courageous. Xiao Chen smiled coldly. Don't think that you are unrivaled just because you became Emperor Wu. You are just a first heaven layer. Even the primes I have seen are not as arrogant as you. Pa! Xiao Chen swung the banner violently like a slap to Old Hong's face, knocking him down from the sky. Half of his face immediately shattered. After Old Hong left, a black hole remained in the sky, lingering for a long time. As for the spatial tear that Old Hong tore earlier, it had already healed quickly. This was truly piercing through the void. Flee! After Old Hong landed, blood flowed endlessly from his mouth. This was the only thought in his mind. Only by regrouping with the red-haired emperor Wu would he be able to survive. Given Old Hong's current condition, he was no match for Xiao Chen. Even with the recovery ability of Emperor Wu's golden body, the black hole-like wound on Old Hong's chest could not heal. Old Hong's entire heart had been erased. If Old Hong did not find a place to treat his injuries quickly, he would die even if Xiao Chen did not make a move. After Xiao Chen thrust out, he realized that he was wrong. However, he still thrust at Old Hong's chest out of habit. To Emperor Wu, the chest was no longer a fatal spot. What was important was the location of the heart of an emperor. However, it did not matter. This old fellow no longer had any combat prowess. There was no way for him to survive. Xiao Chen unfurled the cycle banner, and the sound of surging waves resounded, causing the entire space to fluctuate. When Xiao Chen looked in the direction that Old Hong left, he tossed the banner in his hand forward. The banner flew out like a javelin. Instantly, the entire starry heavens moved with the cycle banner. 5-colored starlight spread out, looking like raindrops falling from the sky. Old Hong felt like he could not run anymore. Right now, Old Hong's physical body was incomplete. He could not even drive his primordial energy. The space fluctuated like water, filled with resistance. He turned his head to take a look. What he saw was the last thing he saw in this world. The cycle banner arrived like a meteor. With a PUCI sound, it stabbed into the place where Old Hong's heart of an emperor was. The banner pierced through his physical body and pinned him to the ground. Xiao Chen killed Emperor Wu in 2 moves. Wang Yuzhu felt like he was seeing things. Did he see wrong? He rubbed his eyes and looked carefully. Indeed, he did not see wrong. Old Hong, who had been running frantically and boasting about killing Xiao Chen, was indeed pinned to the ground. Motes of white light came from Old Hong's body. They were incredibly white, containing dense and pure energy. That was the heart of an emperor slowly dying. When the light scattered, it would die completely. Right now, Xiao Chen was exhausted. When he controlled the fusion of the 5 states, he had already drained the 10 strands of primordial energy. The mental energy in his sea of consciousness drained even more terrifyingly. Every state contained vast astral energy. Furthermore, their attributes were very distinct and not easy to merge. If Xiao Chen was not careful, there would be an explosion. At that time, he would not be able to injure the enemy. Instead, the backlash would cripple him. In reality, every time Xiao Chen used that dreamlike attack, he gambled with his life. Xiao Chen quickly absorbed that light. It is very useful to you. Be faster. Don't wait for it to scatter. Chapter 1240. Ao Jiao quickly reminded Xiao Chen from the Immortal Spirit Ring. Seeing that Ao Jiao spoke in a rush, Xiao Chen ignored his fatigue and moved his body, preparing to walk over. However, when Xiao Chen looked around, he discovered that Wang Yuzhu's gaze was also filled with hope as he looked at the light, entranced. Damn it, I somewhat forgot about this person's existence. Although Xiao Chen had always been good at judging people, he was not confident of defeating this half-step Emperor Wu in his current state. He could not help but feel nervous. If the other party became greedy, he could only choose to flee alone. This was not a good time to fight. When Wang Yuzhu felt Xiao Chen's gaze, he smiled embarrassedly. He said, "This is Emperor Wu's life essence. I have heard of it before. However, this is my first time seeing it, so I became somewhat entranced." Xiao Chen said calmly, "It's fine. I understand." If the other party wanted to fight, this was the best opportunity. After Xiao Chen absorbed this life essence and caught his breath, there would not be any more opportunities. In the end, Xiao Chen had not gone through life-and-death situations with Wang Yuzhu, nor had they shared a heart-to-heart. This was a good opportunity to test the other party. If Wang Yuzhu could endure the temptation and greed and not make a move on Xiao Chen, then Xiao Chen could make friends with him. After getting Ao Jiao to keep a lookout for him, Xiao Chen quickly walked over to Old Hong's corpse. Just as Xiao Chen was about to sit down cross-legged, the blue dragon martial spirit in his dantian roared ferociously again. It wanted to do its best to break free of Xiao Chen's suppression while he was weak. Since entering the dragon grave, Xiao Chen had felt a mysterious existence calling out to him. The blue dragon martial spirit wanted to roar loudly in response to this mysterious call. Because of Yi Ling and the others, Xiao Chen had been suppressing the blue dragon martial spirit, not letting it respond to that mysterious call. At this moment, the blue dragon martial spirit wanted to take advantage of Xiao Chen's weakness to respond to that mysterious call. Xiao Chen had a cautious nature. He did not know what would happen if he responded to the mysterious pull of the distant sea dragon grave. It would be safer to wait until he recovered some of his strength. He once again suppressed the blue dragon martial soul, not allowing it to respond to that call. Xiao Chen calmed his mind and sat down cross-legged. Then he started to absorb Old Hong's life essence. As the surging energy was absorbed into Xiao Chen's body, Xiao Chen was astonished to discover that his exhausted law energy was rapidly recovering. Soon, the heart of an emperor completely recovered. The 20,000-odd strands of law energy spread around it like a roaming dragon. Then, the grand mist energy began to restore itself. Although the speed was slower, it was still many times faster than when Xiao Chen used essence stones to restore himself. After recovering all of his strength, Xiao Chen discovered that his cultivation had started to increase. Emperor Wu's life essence poured in endlessly. His law energy rapidly increased, at least 10 times faster than when he used essence stones to cultivate. No wonder Ao Jiao told him to speed up and not waste it. Emperor Wu's life essence was truly nourishing. It was much stronger than some sage-grade medicinal pills or natural treasures. Wang Yuzhu watched as Xiao Chen slowly absorbed Emperor Wu's life essence. He could not hide the envy in his eyes. However, there was no greed. Such a fortuitous encounter is truly enviable. As a consummation blue-robed emperor, killing Emperor Wu was a heaven-defying feat since ancient times. Not many people had been able to do so. However, that mysterious war banner of his should be an emperor-grade secret treasure. The peak strike of an emperor-grade secret treasure could indeed severely injure an unguarded Emperor Wu. This was not strange. However, didn't an emperor-grade secret treasure require primordial energy to be able to control it freely? Could it be that Xiao Chen had primordial energy as well? All sorts of doubts lingered in Wang Yuzhu's heart, bewildering him no matter how hard he thought about it. Before the fire dragon general's grave, Yi Ling did not have to wait for long. The blue-robed emperors who went out to chase after Emperor Wu all returned with the corpse of a half-step Emperor Wu. For hours past, aside from Old Hong, all the Emperor Wus had returned. Strange, why is Old Hong not back yet? One of the Emperor Wus asked, feeling somewhat suspicious. Someone joked. Could it be that he cannot deal with two half-step Emperor Wu's experts? Worry flashed in the red-haired Emperor Wu's eyes. After some thought, he said, "Never mind. There is no need to care about him for now. That masked brat is somewhat difficult to deal with. He might really escape." Right. That masked brat does give off a mysterious feeling. Old Hong probably lost him and is too embarrassed to come back. The few of them felt that, given Old Hong's strength, nothing unexpected would happen. The only possibility was that he lost Old Hong. No matter how they thought about it, they would never imagine that Shao Qin had already killed Old Hong. Old Hong did not even have a chance to self-detonate. Shao Qin had nearly drained all of his life essence. Yiling looked at the corpse at his feet. Then he looked at the large road in front. The dragon race puppets, guarding the dragon, grave-lined both sides of the road. There was a concave formation at the end of the road. If one wanted to open the gates to the Fire Dragon General's grave, they could only go through this formation. Yiling waited for a while. However, Old Hong still did not come. So he shook his head and said, "Never mind. We are not going to wait for him. There are enough corpses at our feet. Let's go. Young Master Yi, the dragon race puppets on both sides will attack the moment we go over. Are we not going to make any preparations?" Yiling's lips curled up slightly. "If I say we can leave, naturally we can. Do you really think that my title of Dragon Slayer is undeserved?" After saying that, Yiling raised his foot and walked forward. A strange aura appeared on his body, inspiring some fear in Emperor Wu, who was at the side and making him feel mysterious and unfathomable. The dragon race puppets on both sides actually trembled slightly under this aura, as though they feared it. If Shao Chun were here and saw Yiling unleashing his aura, he would definitely recognize what kind of aura this was. That was right. This aura was exactly the same as the ghost hoe that Shao Chun once saw. They really did not attack. The few Emperor Wu's eyes widened as they carefully followed behind Yiling. Their faces were filled with incredulity. Step by step, the group soon arrived at the end of the road. Then Yiling instructed, "Drain the blood and fill up the formation." The others did as instructed, pouring the blood of the few half-step Emperor Wu's corpses into the formation. At this moment, Yiling took out that dragon-shaped key and fiddled with it. There happened to be a circular hole in the center of that ancient formation, which was very compatible with the key in Yiling's hand. Buzz, buzz, buzz. The dragon race puppets on both sides trembled even more intensely, as though they would break free of their restraints at any moment and attack together. The red-haired Emperor Wu felt fear in his heart as he watched. If these 100-odd dragon race emperor-grade puppets attacked at the same time, even he would not be able to withstand it. He said somewhat uncertainly, "Young Master Yi, there won't be any mistakes, right?" Yiling revealed a confident smile. "I have been to more than 1,000 dragon graves of various sizes. However, I have never stumbled once." The red-haired Emperor Wu smiled as well. However, he still felt some shadow in his heart. That masked fellow was somewhat unfathomable. Without Old Hong returning, he could not feel at ease. After Shao Qin finished absorbing Old Hong's life essence, he opened his eyes somewhat reluctantly. He carefully checked his heavenly laws and discovered that his law energy had increased by a total of 5,000, returning to 25,000. Unexpectedly, by killing one Emperor Wu, Shao Chen's cultivation had increased by a quarter. That was comparable to more than 1,000 essence stones. Furthermore, it was even faster. Shao Chen could not help thinking, if I can kill a few more Emperor Wu, I won't have to cultivate anymore. However, after thinking about it, it is still not a good idea. This time, Xiao Qin managed to kill Old Hong mainly because the other party was too careless. The other party did not know that Xiao Qin had condensed the heart of an emperor and could control an emperor-grade secret treasure. Otherwise, it would have been very difficult for Xiao Qin to kill Old Hong in one strike. He did not even give the other party the chance to self-detonate. Even if Xiao Qin killed a regular Emperor Wu, it would be very difficult to prevent the other party from self-detonating. Furthermore, such actions were not of the righteous Tao. If Xiao Qin kept thinking of doing this, what difference was there between him, Xiao Qin, and those loose cultivators of the evil Tao? In reality, Xiao Qin's cultivation experience was no different from that of regular loose cultivators. For a long time, he had not fallen into depravity because his heart had not changed. If his heart changed, even if his strength increased, he, Xiao Qin, would no longer be the same Xiao Qin. Ao Jiao reminded, "Stop thinking about it. It is only the first time that it has such a great effect. Quickly, check what other treasures this Old Hong has on him." Xiao Qin smiled and recovered his wits. Then he pulled out his cycle banner and blood spurted out. Then, Xiao Qin searched Old Hong's chest. As for the other party's spatial ring, he could only take a look. Even the blue-robed emperor's spatial ring had restrictions. Needless to say, Emperor Wu's spatial ring would be even more so. However, it was unfortunate. If Xiao Qin could open the spatial ring, he would be able to make a huge profit. No matter how poor Emperor Wu was, he would have at least tens of millions of black astral coins. He would also have plenty of medicinal pills to spare. Emperor Wu definitely carried something good on him. No matter whose precious treasure it would definitely be in a spatial ring. It was the same for Xiao Qin. Initially, Xiao Qin did not hold much hope. In the end, he found a talisman seal. The talisman seal had a complicated and profound diagram drawn on it, looking very simple and unadorned. When Xiao Qin looked up, he discovered Wang Yuzhu walking over and staring at the golden talisman seal in his hand. It seemed like he recognized it. "Brother Wang, do you know what this is?" Xiao Qin asked casually when he saw the situation. Wang Yuzhu replied, "When I saw Old Hong lay a formation, he used this talisman seal. He carved the diagram on the talisman seal on the ground. Then he activated the talisman seal and placed it in the center of the formation. A formation that can defend against an ordinary emperor who was formed." Clearly, Ao Jiao understood more. She explained to Xiao Qin from the Immortal Spirit Ring. This is one of the formations that Emperor Wu often uses. It is called the Iron Defense Magic Formation. Right now, the formations of the martial epoch are derived from the Immortal Epoc's Buddhist, Taoist, and Confucian sections. The formations of the Taoist and Confucian sects are rather rare. Most of them are Buddhist formations. The Iron Defense Magic Formation is a Buddhist formation. I'll give it a try. Xiao Qin had never seen this before and felt rather curious. He asked Ao Jiao how to use it and prepared to give it a try. Chapter 1241. Xiao Qin had the experience of drawing talismans. The mental energy in his sea of consciousness was even stronger. After drawing a few times, he could perfectly carve the diagram on the talisman seal. According to Ao Jiao, as long as Xiao Qin carved 81 talisman seals in the corresponding positions, he could form a small iron defense magic formation. Xiao Qin tossed the iron talisman seal into the sky. Immediately, 81 formation nodes appeared on the ground. Xiao Qin followed Ao Jiao's instructions and quickly drew the talisman seal on the nodes. However, there was no reaction. Strange. Why is there no reaction? My talisman seal seems to be correct, right? Ao Jiao criticized. How can you do this? There needs to be charm. This is something that only Emperor Wu can do. When you draw it, you need to use the heart of an emperor to communicate with the world. Xiao Qin's comprehension ability was outstanding. After some thought, he understood Ao Jiao's words. After 3 tries, Xiao Qin succeeded in carving the small iron defense magic formation. Immediately, the formation nodes connected, and a magic defense magic formation flowing with golden light formed. Wang Yuzhu, who was watching from the side, felt incredibly shocked. He was shocked at Yi Chen's comprehension ability and his earlier guess. This mysterious masked youth before Shao Qin had indeed condensed a heart of an emperor and grasped the primordial energy that only Emperor Wu could have. It's done! Shao Qin held the talisman seal and smiled as he looked at the 200-meter-wide golden halo. In the future, it would be much more convenient to go out adventuring. Amid his joy, Shao Qin relaxed slightly. This time, the blue dragon martial spirit took advantage of this opportunity and broke through Shao Qin's suppression in one go. Then it let out a long roar. Suddenly, a dragon roar came from Shao Qin's body as though it was responding to a distant call. What's going on? Shao Qin's dragon might shook Wang Yuzhu, who was closer, and he was caught off guard. Boom! 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 What shocked Shao Qin even more was that 3 even more horrifying dragon roars came from the distance. Heavy clouds churned in the sky, lightning flashed, and thunder roared. All sorts of horrifying, mysterious phenomena appeared. Like a call from ancient times, a huge blue dragon image hid in the layers of dark clouds. It opened its eyes and stared at Shao Qin. The ground churned, and the entire distant sea, dragon grave, seemed to come to life. Wang Yuzhu's body swayed, unable to stand stably. Shao Qin, who was the cause of all this, had a look of surprise in his eyes. Before he could resist, he was sucked in by an extremely powerful and irresistible force. He disappeared into thin air before Wang Yuzhu's eyes. Wang Yuzhu could not understand what was going on. After he calmed down, Wang Yuzhu walked up anxiously. After confirming that Shao Qin had completely disappeared, he couldn't help but look mad. It's over. He really disappeared. With Shao Qin gone, how is Shao Qin supposed to leave the distant sea, dragon grave, be it the desolate plains of fire or the foggy land? Shao Qin would not be able to pass through them safely with his strength. After thinking for a while, Shao Qin carefully put away the sword in Old Hong's hand. Then he looked around, preparing to find a safe place to hide. However, worry clouded Shao Qin's face, not dispersing. If Shao Qin did not appear, even if Shao Qin could hide for now, he would not be able to hide forever. He would still have to wait for death. Wang Yuzhu felt depressed. However, there were many more people who felt even more depressed than him. The ancient formation in front of the Fire Dragon General's grave was already filled with blood, giving off a scarlet light. Yi Ling calmly held the dragon-shaped key and slowly inserted it into the circular hole. As the key was inserted, the dragon race puppets on both sides struggled even more intensely, shaking back and forth. This made the 4 Emperor Wu feel somewhat afraid. "Young Master Yi, is there a problem?" Yi Ling said confidently without even turning his head. "I already answered this many times. I will answer it one last time. I guarantee that there is no problem." Boom! However, right after Yi Ling spoke, a resonant dragon roar came from behind. Before Yi Ling could understand what was going on, 3 even more horrifying dragon roars came from far in front. The entire distant sea, dragon grave, seemed to come to life. With these 3 dragon roars, the dragon race puppets on both sides struggled free of Yi Ling's suppression. The key in the formation also bounced out at the same time. Surprise flashed in Yi Ling's eyes. When he turned his head back, he saw 100 martial emperor dragon race puppets charging at them ferociously. Their auras were incredibly sharp, and their killing intent surged like the tide. Horror flashed on their faces. They no longer cared about exploring the Fire Dragon General's grave, fleeing for their lives. When Yi Ling thought of the masked person, he felt enlightened. At this moment, he finally understood who that person was. Aside from Shao Qin, the inheritor of the Dragon's Gate's Qing Emperor, who else could cause such a huge change in the distant sea, dragon grave? At this moment, Xiao Chen did not know that the dragon roar of the blue dragon martial spirit had spoiled the good thing that the dragon slayer Yi Ling had prepared for a long time. Xiao Chen also did not know that Yi Ling had already guessed Xiao Chen's identity. However, even if Yi Ling knew, he would not care. Right now, even Xiao Chen himself was confused. As he looked at the words on the stone stele in front, he felt somewhat dazed. There were 5 ancient dragon race characters on the stone stele. Xiao Chen did not recognize any of them. However, for some reason, he understood the meaning of the 5 words on the stone stele with one glance. It was like these 5 words had been imprinted in Xiao Chen's mind long ago. With just one glance, it triggered this memory hidden in the depths of his mind. The grave of the Blue Dragon King. That was right. These 5 ancient dragon race characters meant the grave of the Blue Dragon King. Who was the Blue Dragon King? Wasn't it Xiao Chen himself? Could this be his grave? Xiao Chen's first reaction was to feel his hair stand on end. However, when Xiao Chen thought about it, he felt that it was impossible. He was wrong. Xiao Chen was indeed the Blue Dragon King. However, the Blue Dragon King was just a title. It had been passed down from generation to generation. Even in the Bushin Palace, it had probably been passed down for many generations. Only those who possessed the Blue Dragon martial spirit and achieved a certain amount of contributions would obtain this title. Obtaining this title did not mean that Xiao Chen was truly the Blue Dragon King. He was still a human. The Blue Dragon King mentioned here should be the king of the Blue Dragon bloodline of the dragon race. That is to say, that mysterious energy pulled me into the main grave of the distant sea, Dragon Grave. With this thought, Xiao Chen could not help feeling excited. The main grave was a place that even sovereign martial emperors could not barge into. To think that he somehow managed to get in. Behind the stone stele was the Blue Dragon King's grave. The stone door of the grave had ancient dragon race patterns carved on it. There was a small hole in the center. Xiao Chen took out the Blue Dragon King's insignia on his chest and compared it. He discovered that it fit perfectly. In for a penny, in for a pound, in for a pound. Xiao Chen embedded the insignia in. It fit perfectly, not missing a single detail. However, there was no reaction from the stone door. There were no ripples at all, not even any energy fluctuations. It was just like how Xiao Chen had inserted an ordinary stone and not the Blue Dragon King's insignia. Xiao Chen rubbed his chin and thought for a while. Then he recalled his experience when he opened the Dragon's Gate's treasure trove. Then he dripped a drop of essence blood into the insignia and tried again. The heavy stone door gave off creaking sounds as it slowly opened. Xiao Chen smiled faintly and put away the Blue Dragon King's insignia. Then he strode in. Cassier! The stone door slammed shut, startling Xiao Chen. Tall stone pillars with blue dragons carved on them lined both sides of the corridor. They looked exquisite and realistic. Xiao Chen walked straight down the path and arrived at a large hall. Then he tried the various intersections on both sides. However, he discovered that an invisible barrier blocked him. He could not pass through. Many blue dragon corpses lay in front of the large hall. A rough count gave at least 100. When Xiao Chen looked further down, he saw many standing human corpses, all wearing the Dragon's Gate's uniform. Xiao Chen thought to himself, the corpses in front should be the kings of the Blue Dragon bloodline. After they died, they were all buried here. The human corpses in the back should be the Dragon's Gate's sect masters. After they died, they also used this place as their burial ground. Beneath the human corpse, there were some words that were blocked by the dust. When Xiao Chen wanted to walk forward and wipe off the dust to confirm his guess, he discovered that he was blocked by a formless barrier. That was to say, aside from going back, he could not go anywhere else in this forsaken place. Invisible barriers blocked Xiao Chen's way to the left and right. Xiao Chen could not help feeling suspicious. What is the meaning of this? Since they dragged me here, why are they not letting me go anywhere else? Never mind. I'll just wander around in this place where I can move freely for now. The invisible barrier in the large hall split the large hall in half. Actually, there was not much left for Xiaoqin to explore. Aside from a 3-kilometer-tall azure stone pillar, there was nothing else. Most of the things were on the other side of the invisible barrier. When Xiaoqin arrived before the stone pillar, he could feel an ancient state. He stretched out his hand and touched it. The blue dragon martial spirit in his body immediately turned solemn and dignified. Vaguely, Xiaoqin seemed to see another world. The scene of thousands of blue dragons worshipping the azure stone pillar appeared in his mind. However, aside from that, there was nothing else. Xiaoqin felt that he was missing something. This stone pillar should be of great help to him. It was definitely not that simple. Just as Xiaoqin was thinking hard, a figure suddenly walked out of a several hundred-meter tall corridor on the left side of the large hall. Xiaoqin's spiritual sense was sharp. He immediately sensed it. When he turned his head, he discovered a haggard old man wearing azure dragon robes. "Might I ask who Senior is?" Xiaoqin asked with a grave expression. This person's identity was definitely extraordinary. Otherwise, how could he appear in the distant sea dragon grave? However, the person did not answer Xiaoqin's question directly. Instead, he sized up Xiaoqin and nodded. It is indeed someone from the Xiao clan. However, why did you not even refine the blue dragon palace before coming to the distant sea dragon grave? The azure-robed old man had a strange expression, appearing suspicious. There is also the Blue Dragon King's insignia. Even Emperor Wu has not reached it, yet he already possesses it. What exactly is going on? Thinking about it, this old man must have remained in the distant sea dragon grave since the Dragon's Gate was destroyed 10,000 years ago, unable to leave. Hence, he did not understand the situation outside. Xiaoqin spent a lot of effort before explaining the destruction of the Dragon's Gate and the mysterious disappearance of the Qing Emperor to this old man. Chapter 1242. After the green-robed old man heard this, his expression did not change much. There was no sorrow or fluctuation in his expression. This made Xiaoqin's expression turn somewhat strange. If this person were a senior of the Dragon's Gate, he would definitely show some emotion when he heard this news. At the very least, he would feel some sorrow, just like back in the Blue Dragon Palace. When the item's spirit heard this news, his expression fluctuated greatly. Immediately, Xiaoqin could not help regretting saying so much. He immediately asked, "Might I ask, Senior, who exactly are you?" "Me." The old man in green said, "I'm not human. I'm just the tomb keeper of this tomb. After this tomb palace was built, I was born. You can think of me as an existence similar to an artifact spirit." Xiaoqin somewhat understood now. This old man was like the current caretaker of the grave. He asked, "You are the one who pulled me in?" "That's right. The moment you stepped into the vicinity of the grave, I sensed your existence. It seems like the Xiao clan has not been here for more than 10,000 years. After you came in, I discovered something suspicious. So I was cautious and only appeared after observing for a while." The green-robed old man said calmly, "Now there are no more suspicious points, right?" "There are none. However, the matters of the world are hard to predict. 10,000 years ago, that brat Xiaotang was very lofty and tyrannical before me. Who knew? Only 10,000 years passed in the abandoned land. His lofty words turned out to be a joke." Xiaoting seemed to be the name of the Qing Emperor. However, most people did not dare to call him by his name. As a result, most people did not remember the Qing Emperor's name. Xiaoqin felt embarrassed in his heart. Only this old man before him dared to call the Qing Emperor that brat. However, for some reason, when Xiaoqin heard this old man speak of the Qing Emperor like that, he felt uncomfortable in his heart. It was like the old man was talking about him. The green-robed old man did not know what Xiaoqin was thinking. He waved his hand and said, Since you barged into this place by mistake and are fine, I will send you out now." When Xiaoqin heard this, he couldn't help but feel anxious. "Wait a minute. I still have a lot of questions that I don't understand. You've lived for so long, you don't mind chatting with me for a while, right?" The azure-clothed old man said, "Indeed, I don't mind. However, I'm just a tombkeeper, and all I know is about this tomb. I might not be able to answer your question." "There's hope." When Xiaoqin heard that, he rejoiced. He said, "Quickly, I can definitely answer that. Every generation of the Dragon's Gates sect master would make several trips to the distant sea dragon grave. You should know why, right?" The tombkeeper nodded and said, "Of course I know that. There are 2 goals. You've already seen the first one." "I've seen it. What does that mean?" Xiaoqin rolled his eyes and saw human corpses standing in the other half of the hall, which was separated by an invisible barrier. Xiaoqin came to a sudden realization. His goal was to make this place his burial ground when he was about to die. Knowing was as good as not knowing. Xiaoqin didn't care about the special hobbies of these ancestors. He hurriedly said, "What's the second purpose?" "Actually, you've already seen the second purpose. However, you probably won't be able to guess it. Are you talking about that azure-colored stone pillar?" "That is no ordinary pillar. That is the totem of your Dragon's Gate. It is also the reason why the blue dragon martial spirit is superior to the other 3 holy beast martial spirits," the azure-clothed old man explained. "Dragon's Gate totem?" Xiaoqin's heart trembled. This was not the first time he saw these words. Back in the Dragon's Gate treasure trove, Xiaoqin had obtained a jade strip that recorded the various refining techniques of the Dragon's Gate and the construction method of the Heaven Dragon City. There was an introduction to the Dragon's Gate totem. However, Xiaoqin did not understand it at that time. Even Imoqin did not understand it. Xiaoqin's intuition told him that the Dragon's Gate totem was very important. However, he could not find an answer. Xiaoqin asked somewhat excitedly, "Senior, can you tell me what exactly the Dragon's Gate totem is? Why does it allow the blue dragon martial spirit to be stronger than the other 3 holy beast martial spirits?" The azure-clothed old man said, "This is a long story. We have to start with the martial spirits of the human race. There are hundreds of races in the world, and they all have their own specialties. Perhaps they have strong physical bodies, innately good at controlling certain kinds of energy or startling comprehension abilities. However, they're all mediocre in other aspects. However, the heavens are fair. Although humans are mediocre in other aspects, they have martial spirits. Although the effects of martial spirits are not obvious in the later stages, they do increase the cultivation speed of human cultivators in the early stages, strengthening their combat prowess. In the later stages, everyone cultivates heavenly laws, and primordial energy, reaching the same starting line. Slowly, some clans learn to use bloodline contracts to innately control their martial spirits. For example, they signed contracts with ancient holy beasts to change the martial spirits of themselves and their descendants. This is how the holy beast martial spirits of the 4 holy lands came about. Xiaoqin nodded. He understood all this. He had even seen how the Xiao clan's ancestor subdued the blue dragon in the blue dragon medallion. However, Xiaoqin had not gotten to the main point. Why was the blue dragon martial spirit stronger than the other 3 holy beast martial spirits, able to suppress them? As for why the blue dragon martial spirit is stronger than the other 3 holy beast martial spirits, the secret lies in the totem that the ancient blue dragon king personally forged. Through a ritual, this totem can be used to contact the blue dragon race, which has already left this abandoned land. This is a special favor. Back then, your Xiao clan's ancestor passed the test of the ancient blue dragon king. The ancestors of the other 3 clans were much weaker. They could only control the holy beast martial spirits through contracts and could not contact the holy beast race that left the abandoned land. The land of exile, it was the land of exile again. What exactly did the land of exile mean? This was not the first time Xiao heard these words. However, why was the Kunlun realm called the Abandoned Land? The tomb keeper of the distant sea dragon grave did not have any reservations. When he heard Xiao question, he answered, "The immortal epoch has ended, and a new epoch will descend. All the old order will be destroyed." During the immortal epoch, the Kunlun realm ruled over all the great thousand realms. It was the center of all the great realms of the universe. It was known as the primordial heavenly realm. However, after everything shattered, all the order was disrupted. A new primordial heavenly realm would be born, and the old primordial heavenly realm would fall into ruin. It would become an abandoned land in the universe, not accepted by the new epoch. This was Xiao first time hearing such a detailed explanation. So, this was how the abandoned land came to be. No wonder those people suspected to be martial gods from the ancient era all left this world, not leaving any clues. They were probably afraid of carrying the mark of the abandoned land and not being accepted by the new epoch. However, this selfishness caused the peak experts of the Kunlun realm to suffer. Even someone as strong as the Haotian Emperor would say something sorrowful. Was there a peak above Prime? Of course, there was a peak above Prime. It was just that it was not in the Kunlun realm. Perhaps the Haotian Emperor knew all this. However, he could no longer do it. So he gambled everything and placed his hopes on Xiao. Xiao said, "Based on what you said, it sounds like you saw the moment the immortal epoch ended." The tomb keeper nodded. His previously emotionless expression actually turned somewhat sorrowful at this moment. That was a tragedy of the mortal realm. The 6 paths of reincarnation shattered, and the heavenly palaces collapsed. All the omnipotent heavenly immortals and Buddhas ran out of magic energy. Their magic skills vanished, and they turned into meteors and fell. Even the strong immortal lords and immortal ancestors, existences that could defy the heavens and change fate, died in batches like pigs and dogs. All the holy beasts and experts that had not advanced to immortal ascension fled the Kunlun realm in a panic as long as they could. They fled this originally fairy-like paradise, the primordial heavenly realm. That was the end of the world. As Xiao listened to the tomb keeper's words, he simulated the scene of the end of the world in his mind. Immortals died like pigs and dogs. This sentence described the sorrow of the end of the world. Following that, Xiao asked about the Dark Church and the Qing Emperor. In the end, the tomb keeper did not know much about either. The tomb keeper only knew that the Dark Church was an extremely mysterious faction. He did not know when it had suddenly appeared. The ancient dragon race, which had remained in the Kunlun realm due to insufficient strength, had even fought many battles. Later on, the ancient dragon race of the Kunlun realm was wiped out due to various reasons as time passed. They had not figured out the origins of this dark church. As for the Qing Emperor, the tomb keeper only said that when he met the Qing Emperor 10,000 years ago, he was shocked at the Qing Emperor's strength. He had a deep impression of the Qing Emperor, but he did not know much about the Qing Emperor. After all, the tomb keeper was just a tomb keeper, an existence similar to an item spirit. He did not have complicated emotions like humans and would not overthink. You once said that all the past sect masters of the Dragon's Gate would choose this place as their burial ground before they died. Why is that? Xiao asked somewhat excitedly when he thought of something. Those who possess the blue dragon martial spirit are already half of the dragon race. If they can be buried in this blue dragon king grave palace, they can bring good fortune to their descendants. Furthermore, they all have the jade strip that I gave them. As long as they are willing, they can send it to this grave palace at any time. Xiao had studied the Paradise Secret Canon before and knew the principle of good fortune for the descendants. Hence, he did not doubt this. Now, here was the main point. Xiao continued asking, "In that case, all the Dragon's Gate sect masters who are on the verge of death will choose this place as their burial ground. There are no exceptions." The tomb keeper nodded, indicating that there were no exceptions. However, I discovered that the Qing Emperor is not here. Does that mean that he is not dead? Perhaps he is like those absolute experts from the ancient era, leaving this world? The tomb keeper shook his head and said, "That is not possible. Think about it yourself. If he really left this world, he would definitely erase all traces of him in this world. However, based on what you said, there are still legends of him in this world. There's still all sorts of things that he did. If he really erased all traces of him, then none of that would exist. Even the people closest to him would not remember his existence. How could there be stories of him being passed down?" When Xiao heard this, he could not help feeling somewhat dispirited. Could it be that he guessed wrong? You have a lot of questions. However, I have already answered them all. You can leave now, right? The tomb keeper wanted to chase him away again. Xiao could not help feeling depressed. Why do you keep chasing me away? Chapter 1243. This is a peaceful place for the dead. Naturally, it does not allow the living to exist. I thought that you were like those ancestors, here to strengthen the Dragon's Gate's totem. Now that the Dragon's Gate no longer exists and you are not a dead person, naturally I have to chase you away, the tomb keeper said calmly, not making an exception at all. Only the dead can stay here. In that case, why are you not leaving? I already said that I am not human in the first place. I am the tomb keeper. Naturally, I have to stay here. Xiao was speechless. Indeed, the other party is not human. Why did I bother arguing with him for so long? However, this was a place that even sovereign martial emperors dreamed of coming to. It was not easy for Xiao to come here. If he were to return empty-handed, he would feel dissatisfied. Are there any secret treasures of the dragon race or cultivation techniques left behind by the ancestors of my Xiao clan? Indeed, there are. However, I'm sorry, I cannot give them to you. The first master of the Grave Palace stipulated that you are not allowed to take away anything that entered the Grave Palace. At first, Xiao rejoiced. However, when he heard about the rules, he could not help but smile bitterly to himself. In the end, he still could not obtain anything. The tomb keeper made a helpless expression and said, "I am fine with it. However, rules are rules. Logically speaking, the things of your ancestors should be yours. However, after entering the Grave Palace, you have to abide by the rules. Let's go. Don't overthink. After all, this is the Grave Palace of the dragon race, not your Dragon's Gate's treasure trove. If you want treasures, go to your Dragon's Gate's Blue Dragon Palace. That is the correct way. However, since this is our first meeting, I will give you a small gift as well. Consider it a greeting gift." The tomb keeper gently prodded Xiao forehead. Before Xiao could say anything, this finger prodded him out of the distant sea, Dragon Grave. By the time Xiao recovered his wits, he had already reappeared in the desolate plains of fire. The small iron defense magic formation that he formed earlier had not scattered yet. A talisman seal appeared in Xiao hand. He left a spiritual mark on it. After checking it, he realized that this was a talisman seal that could allow him to head to the distant sea dragon grave at any time. However, it seemed like it could only be used once. It seemed like it was just as the tomb keeper had said, it would only be used before death. Looking at the seal, Xiao thought of the Qing Emperor. Since the Qing Emperor did not use the seal, did he not die? Right, the tomb keeper said he would give me a small gift. Could it be this? Thinking of this, Xiao shook his head. That fellow was not a human in the first place. It was just a tool spirit that abided by the rules. Xiao, it shouldn't be this. When the tomb keeper pointed at you, I seemed to see the blue dragon totem light up. There were countless blue dragons surrounding the totem and auspicious clouds. It should be related to the blue dragon martial soul. Ao Jiao asked from the Immortal spirit ring. When Xiao heard this, He sank his consciousness into his dantian. Indeed, it was as Ao Jiao said. A pair of dragon horns grew on the head of the tiny blue dragon martial soul. Dragon horns seemed to be the symbol of the ruler of the blue dragon bloodline. What does this mean? Does it acknowledge me as the blue dragon king? Aside from the pair of dragon horns, Xiao Chen felt that the dragon might of the blue dragon martial soul seemed to have become much stronger. It was very condensed and did not scatter. Xiao Chen's dominance of kingship was based on the blue dragon martial soul. Given this, when he executed the 1,000-year hegemony establishment, its might should have increased somewhat. The might of the subduing dragon profound slash, a martial technique exclusive to the blue dragon martial soul, should have increased even more. I will test this out when I get out. Xiao Chen formed hand seals with both hands and said softly, "Withdraw!" A talisman seal appeared in Xiao Chen's hand from underground. The various nodes of the minor iron defense magic formation turned into an illusory Buddhist guardian deity and entered the talisman seal. "Young Master Yi, you finally came out." The moment the minor iron defense magic formation withdrew, Wang Yuzhu ran out joyfully. At this moment, he rejoiced that he had not run around randomly. Otherwise, if he did not run into Xiao Chen, only death awaited him. Xiao Chen smiled faintly. This Wang Yuzhu had passed his test and was someone he could trust. "How long have I been gone?" "About 3 days." 3 days? How can it be so long? I clearly feel like I have only been in the Grave Palace for a few hours. Never mind, let's not think about this. That Grave Palace is not a good place. It is very strange. Xiao Chen even suspected that the entire Grave Palace was a secret treasure. Furthermore, it was something that surpassed an emperor-grade secret treasure. If Xiao Chen truly wanted to understand all this, he might have to leave this abandoned land and personally go to where the dragon race was. "Oh, right. Young Master Yi, 2 days ago, I saw that group of people from the Dragon Slayers fleeing in a sorry state in the sky. All of them were significantly injured. I wonder what happened. It is probably retribution. After doing such a wicked thing, heaven will definitely come to collect it." Xiao Chen did not know that Yi Ling's group received such retribution because of him, so he just replied indifferently, "That's right. Come, I'll bring you out of this distant sea, dragon grave." Not willing to remain in this place for long, Xiao Chen took out the cycle banner. 5-colored starlight shot out amid the sound of waves as he forcefully opened a path. With the cycle banner in hand, Xiao Chen already possessed the strength of a first heaven martial emperor, Emperor Wu. Unfortunately, he was carrying a person and could not leave this place uninjured. When Xiao Chen killed his way to the foggy area, he suffered significant injuries. Fortunately, he had a half-step golden body and recovered quickly, so it was not a problem. After putting away the cycle banner, Xiao Chen looked at the foggy area. Then he said, "Ao Jiao, help me lead the way." "Hee, I got it. Just watch me." With Ao Jiao leading the way, Xiao Chen moved unobstructed in this foggy area that confused senses. Furthermore, unlike Yi Ling, who had the dragon-shaped key, he did not suffer many attacks along the way. 1 hour later, the two's eyes lit up. The vast and boundless sea reappeared before them, and they immediately felt comfortable from the inside out. The suppressed emotions in the distant sea, dragon, grave, finally relaxed. After escaping death, Wang Yuzhu felt deeply moved. After a long time, he said, "Young Master Yi, it is really all thanks to you this time. I am unable to repay you for saving my life. Brother Wang is too polite. I would like to ask you, do you regret coming to this distant sea dragon grave?" Xiao Chen turned his head and looked at the other party. Wang Yuzhu clearly knew that the chances of finding the divine medicine were close to 0, yet he still risked his life to come here. He nearly did not return. Did he regret it? Whether I regret it or not is not important. What is important is our attitude. As long as there is hope, we will not give up. We will meet again in the future. If you have time, you can come to the storm sea to look for me." Wang Yuzhu performed a cupped fist salute and thanked Xiao Qin sincerely again. "That's right. As long as there is hope, I cannot give up." Xiao Qin advanced to martial emperor in 5 years. Before he realized it, 2 years had passed. Now, he only had 3 years left to clear his great tribulation of wind and fire. Since ancient times, no one had been able to clear the great tribulation of wind and fire in just 3 years. However, there was still that trace of hope. Xiao Qin absolutely could not give up on the emperor's path. Whoosh! Suddenly, a dazzling golden light flashed in the sky, so piercing that Xiao Qin squinted. When he looked up, he saw Yiling riding on a golden war chariot, hovering in the air. That war chariot gave off a bright light. The golden light flickered in a piercing and dazzling manner. It also exuded an ancient battle hunger and surging killing chi. "Brother Xiao, it has been 1 year since we parted at the Four Seas Hero Gathering. How long are you going to wear this mask for?" Yiling asked softly with a warm smile as he stood on the war chariot. Xiao Qin slowly removed his mask, revealing a handsome and delicate face. Then he smiled calmly and said, "Brother Yiling, you are indeed the same as when we first met. Your eyes are still as outstanding as before. Are you making fun of me?" Yiling raised his eyebrows. "If not for you causing a commotion in the entire distant sea dragon grave, I would not have recognized you. There are so many outstanding talents in the heavenly starry ocean hoping for your death. They would never have imagined that you would advance to consummation blue-robed emperor in a mere 2 years. Likewise." Xiao Qin kept his guard up in secret, but his expression did not change. He smiled and said, "I also did not expect that the famous dragon slayer of the Dragon Grave Sea would be the heavenly starry ocean's Mr. Goody-Two-Shoes." Young treasure master Yiling. A trace of pride flashed on Yiling's face. He smiled and said, "At the Four Seas Hero Gathering, you instantly defeated the outstanding talents of the Four Seas with 1 move, showing boundless glory. Back then, I wanted to exchange a few moves with you. Unfortunately, I never had the chance. Might I ask if young Master Xiao is willing to give me some pointers?" A heavy murderous intent and hatred were hidden in Yiling's smile. Clearly, Yiling felt pent up over Xiao Qin ruining his plans. "I would be delighted to. I also want to know if you live up to your reputation as a dragon slayer." Xiao Qin narrowed his eyes, and he unconsciously released his aura. His right hand already grasped the lunar shadow saber scabbard. Right after Yiling spoke, his smile sank. He leaped off the war chariot and formed a claw with his right hand, swiping at Xiao Qin. In that instant, the golden light vanished and dark clouds filled the sky. A huge image appeared behind Yiling. It was the ghost Ho that Xiao Qin had seen before. However, it was somewhat different. Its aura seemed significantly weaker. Under Yiling's control, the huge claw of this ghost Ho image arrived before Xiao Qin in the next moment, looking like it wanted to tear him in half. The moment the ghost Ho appeared, Xiao Qin instinctively felt fear in his heart. His physical body stiffened somewhat. Unexpectedly, the blue dragon martial spirit in Xiao Qin's dantian did not show any fear or cowardice this time. A dragon roar came from Xiao Qin's dantian. His entire body trembled, and all his fear vanished. "So that's how it is. I was wondering why you were so bold, daring to challenge me. However, this time you will be disappointed. I will break one of your arms first." The blue dragon martial spirit, strengthened by the grave keeper, did not fear the might of the ghost Ho at all. In that case, Yiling was just a consummation blue-robed emperor. Whoosh! When Xiao Qin swung his saber, a light flickered. The 70% comprehended lightning saber soul condensed, and a scarlet light spurted out. Yiling chopped off half of his arm. Without the ghost Ho, Yi Ling was just a great perfection blue-robed emperor before Shaoqin. The difference in cultivation was too great. Right now, without using the cycle banner, Shaoqin could already kill the half-step Emperor Wu. What more a great perfection blue-robed emperor? Some people would feel extremely fearful before knowing their trump cards. However, when their trump cards were revealed, that was all there was to it. For example, this person before him, who had been very confident earlier, challenging Shaoqin to a huge battle. Coincidentally, the Gravekeeper had just strengthened Shaoqin's blue dragon martial spirit. Otherwise, given how the ghost Ho countered the dragon race, it would be hard to say what the outcome of this battle would be. If Shaoqin wanted to blame someone, he could only blame Yi Ling for being unlucky. Chapter 1244. Blood flowed endlessly from Yi Ling's severed arm. However, he gritted his teeth and did not make a sound. Horror and doubt flashed in Yi Ling's eyes as he quickly retreated. What exactly did you obtain in the dragon grave? Even the might of the ghost Ho cannot suppress you. The ghost Ho was the nemesis of the dragon race. It swallowed dragons like eating earthworms, killing them in one bite. Even after its death, the might of the ghost Ho was sufficient to suppress any dragon race cultivator. Didn't you want to exchange moves? It was just one move. Brother Yi Ling, why are you running so fast? Shaoqin asked coldly as he stood upright while holding his saber. Yi Ling's eyes flickered. Don't underestimate the ghost Ho. Even after losing an arm, I can still kill you. Shaoqin's lips curled up in a smile. Even at death's door, you are still so stubborn. Do you really think that I have never seen a true ghost Ho before? This ghost Ho of yours is just an afterimage. If you do not tell me all the secrets of the ghost Ho today, you can forget about leaving alive. Only now did Yi Ling's expression change. The ghost Ho was the soul of the dead Ho. All along, his father, the treasure master, had been controlling it. What Yi Ling obtained was indeed just an afterimage. Unexpectedly, Shaoqin saw through it. Just as Shaoqin prepared to make another move, a flash of light charged over with the speed of lightning. Loud sounds rang out endlessly, like a vast army riding on waves. The aura was so vast that it flabbergasted everyone. Shaoqin felt like he was in an ancient battlefield, with countless soldiers riding on horses charging at him like a tidal wave. It was like a mountain flood, unblockable. The golden war chariot. It was that ancient golden war chariot. Shaoqin's heart skipped a beat as he retreated to avoid the light. The momentum was too ferocious, and it appeared too suddenly. In the time it took for lightning to flash, Shaoqin quickly made the most rational decision. Whoosh! Yi Ling laughed loudly and somersaulted back onto the golden war chariot. I did not rely on this ghost Ho's afterimage to move unhindered in the dragon grave sea. Brother Shao, I will take revenge for my broken arm another day. To ordinary people, losing an arm was like losing half of their strength. However, to Yi Ling, he had the richest father in the heavenly starry ocean. Before the mysterious treasure master, reattaching his arm was nothing. He watched as the other party boarded the war chariot and left just like that. A great opportunity to uncover the secrets of the ghost domain was lost just like that. Shaoqin raged in his heart. He could no longer care about exposing his trump cards to Yi Ling. With a thought, the cycle banner appeared in his hand, and he activated it with primordial energy. The flags unfurled with a whoosh and undulated like waves, emitting the sound of heavy ocean waves. The entire sea was dancing. The vast and boundless sea was like a toy in Shaoqin's hands. Closely following that, space rippled like waves. Yi Ling's lightning-fast war chariot paused for a moment. Now, Shaoqin's eyes narrowed. In the time it took for a spark to fly, the lightning flashed for 1,000th of an instant. With a roar, he tossed out the cycle banner in his hand. Instantly night fell. When one looked up, the sky was filled with stars, visible to the naked eye. Along with the 5-colored starlight, massacre, death, ruin, despair, and grief, the cycle banner cut through the golden war chariot's defense like a hot knife through butter. In that thousandth of an instant, it easily broke through the defenses of the golden war chariot. The cycle banner stabbed towards Yiling's chest. This startled Yiling. At the crucial moment, he shifted his body by an inch, avoiding a vital point. Pu Si! A miserable shriek rang out. Yiling's other intact arm, from the shoulder down, directly broke off. Shao Chun watched coldly. You can laugh, but I will break your arm. Let's see if you can still laugh now. Shao Chin, I cannot live under the same sky as you. If I do not take revenge for this, I will not be human. Just you wait. On the day of your great tribulation of wind and fire, I, Yiling, will definitely return this 100-fold. Yiling, who was on the war chariot, screamed hysterically, his hair disheveled. He no longer had his initial grace. Cannot live under the same sky as you? 10,000 years ago, the Qing Emperor killed the ancient mutated beast Ho. 10,000 years later, the mysterious treasure master grasped the soul of the ghost Ho. No matter how Shao Qin thought about it, he and the treasure master's bloodline would become enemies sooner or later. There was an irresolvable conflict between the two. This conflict was much clearer than the complicated relationship between Shao Qin and Chu Chaoyan. Shao Qin put away the cycle banner. As he looked at the distant golden war chariot, he felt it was a pity. Shao Qin was very interested in the ghost Ho. Jiang Tian once said that the ghost Ho could not be controlled. Now, it looked like he was gravely mistaken. The mysterious treasure master who controlled all the markets in the heavenly starry ocean was probably even more mysterious than everyone imagined. Ao Jiao asked, Shao Qin, are we not going to give chase? Shaking his head, Shao Qin replied, we can't catch up. That golden war chariot is very incredible. It is even faster than my flood dragon war chariot. Furthermore, even if we catch up, it will be a tough battle. We still won't be able to keep him here. Where should we go now? Should we return directly to Heavenly Star Island or stay at Little Ba's place? Since we are going to pass by the Black Sea, we should chat with the Flame Rock Sovereign. I have to personally tell the Flame Rock Sovereign about the treasure that I obtained from the Thunder King. While Ao Jiao dared to address the Flame Rock Sovereign as Little Ba, Shao Qin did not have such seniority. Traveling with Emperor Wu in the distant sea dragon grave gave Shao Qin a taste of Emperor Wu's strength. The red-haired Emperor Wu's second heaven martial emperor strength already made Shao Qin feel helpless. How strong would the Flame Rock Sovereign, a sovereign martial emperor, be? Driving the Flood Dragon war chariot, Shao Chun returned to Dark City after half a month. During the past half-month, Shao Qin did not remain idle in the war chariot. Aside from opening the door of time and space to absorb primordial energy, he used essence stones to cultivate law energy. Heavenly laws were the foundation of cultivation. Furthermore, they were nourishment for primordial energy. There was a limit to opening the door of time and space, so the cultivation of heavenly laws could not be interrupted. Only by breaking through the ninth heaven and reaching prime could one give up on the cultivation of heavenly laws and cultivate primordial energy without any restrictions. With great familiarity, Shao Qin soon arrived at the Flame Rock Castle in Dark City. Unexpectedly, he saw Ba Yan waiting at the entrance from afar. Ba Yan laughed loudly. There is no need to find it strange. My grandfather sensed your presence the moment you entered the Black Sea, so he told me to wait for you in advance. Brother Shao, quickly tell me how much you have improved. My grandfather said that the current you is much better than before. My grandfather said that even if there were 100 of me, I would not be a match for you. When I asked him what it was, he kept me in suspense. I am about to die from anxiety. Shao Qin smiled. There was no need to hide anything before a friend. Furthermore, this matter would spread sooner or later. He answered honestly, I have already succeeded in condensing the heart of an emperor in advance. I have already condensed the heart of an emperor and advanced to consummation, blue-robed emperor. I only need to wait for my great tribulation of wind and fire before I can ascend to Emperor Wu. Ba-Tu's mouth gaped in a large O shape. This news was too shocking. He could not react for a while. How long had it been? Shao Chun had advanced from great perfection, blue-robed emperor, to consummation, blue-robed emperor? Furthermore, he had condensed the heart of an emperor. This was an unprecedented feat that would never happen again. Ha ha ha. Brother, you are really something. Ha ha. In the future, when I lose in a fight, I will not look for Big Brother but you, Ba-Tu said half-jokingly. Now that Shao Qin had such a fortuitous encounter, he felt very happy for Shao Qin. Come, come, come. Let's go in first before talking. Shao Qin, who was about to raise his leg, suddenly frowned and stopped. Someone is coming. Who? Ba-Tu was somewhat puzzled. He turned his head and saw someone riding a horse galloping over on the main road with a sword hanging on his back. This was Zhong Buxiong's foster son, the strongest person of the Black Sea, Sima Lingxian. Shao Chen was not too surprised at Sima Lingxuan's appearance. Since the Flame Rock Sovereign could sense his presence, Zhong Buxiong could as well. The other great bandits of the Black Sea should be able to sense him as well. Indeed, when Shao Chun extended his spiritual sense into the distance, he saw familiar faces that he had seen at the Outstanding Talent Summit meeting rushing over. The Blood Shark Sovereign's descendant, Huang Yin, the legendary Thunder Fire Sovereign's descendant, Xiaoyang, and the Great Bandit's descendant, Lu Yin, were all rushing over to the Flame Rock Castle. However, these people were slower than Sima Lingxian. They should have received the news at the same time. However, in terms of speed, they were much faster than the others. This showed that Sima Lingxuan's improvement during this period was much greater than the others. At the Outstanding Talent Summit meeting, Sima Lingxian abandoned his sword and left at the last step, breaking his heart tribulation and gaining a new life. Shao Chen did not know what happened to Sima Lingxian after the Outstanding Talent Summit meeting. Shao Chen's state of mind was like ancient water, fluctuating endlessly. He would deal with the situation as it came. However, when one's strength reached a certain level, it would be hard not to remain calm. After condensing the heart of an emperor and advancing to consummation, blue-robed emperor, Shao Qin was in such a state. Whoosh! As the horse galloped, Sima Lingxian soared into the air. Then he drifted down like a fallen leaf and landed 500 meters in front of Shao Qin. Sima Lingxian looked straight ahead at the returning Shao Qin. His eyes were not filled with hatred like before, disrupting his mental state. Such a state astonished Shao Qin. What in the world happened for Sima Lingxian to break out of his heart tribulation? Consummation, blue-robed emperor. Sima Lingxian was even more astonished. In just a few months, Shao Chun had actually broken through to great perfection, blue-robed emperor, reaching consummation, blue-robed emperor. After a while, Sima Lingxuan's lips curled up in a self-mocking expression. That is not strange. The kind of pressure one experiences determines the kind of improvement one makes. However, ordinary people would be crushed by the pressure, sinking into despair and hatred. Clearly, you are not such a person. Shao Qin said calmly, Sima Lingxian, why are you here? Just say it directly. Sima Lingxian replied, don't worry. I am not here to take revenge. We still have an unfinished battle at the Outstanding Talent Summit meeting. I want to finish this battle with you. Regardless of victory or defeat, the grudges between us will be written off. Shao Chun revealed a doubtful expression. Given Sima Lingxuan's character, he had not expected him to say such a thing. Sima Lingxian had always wanted to kill Shao Qin to vent his hatred. It looked like he had really broken out of his heart tribulation. This was incredible. Are you sure you have thought this through? You just broke out of your heart tribulation, yet you want to fight me? Have you ever thought that you would lose miserably? Chapter 1245. Xiao Chun was not willing to give Sima Lingxian another mental barrier the moment he got over it. If Xiao Qin used his full power, Sima Lingxian would not be able to receive even one move from him. Sima Lingxian countered with a question. How miserable can it be? Can it be worse than the defeat in the Five-Nation Youth Competition? I don't believe it. Xiao Qin did not say anything more. He nodded and said, In that case, make your move. Sima Lingxian, who came prepared, did not gather his aura for long. He took a step forward and drew his sword. White-robed Xiao Qin, do you still remember this move? This is the 6th move of the Emperor's sword technique, crossing 1,000 peaks everywhere. Thousands of mountains appeared out of nowhere. As the sword flew over, it leaped over thousands of mountains. Every time it leaped over a mountain, it would absorb the heavy aura of that mountain. By the time it leaped over 1,000 mountains, the sword had already gathered an unknown amount of heavy aura. The thousands of mountains gathered in the sword, and space suddenly pressed down. Where Xiao Chun stood, the ground suddenly caved in. Aside from where Xiao Qin stood, everything else sank in. This was a familiar scene. Back then, when Xiao Chun fought Sima Lingxian in the Five-Nation Youth Competition, he used this move at the end. Unexpectedly, after 10 years, Sima Lingxian had not given up on this move. After studying it, he managed to raise the might of a medial grade, profound martial technique. This was truly shocking. How much talent and perseverance did one need to achieve this? Unfortunately, the Xiao Qin that Sima Lingxian faced now was also very different from the past. Furthermore, Sima Lingxian had improved even more. The gap between the two was not something that a medial grade, profound martial technique could make up for. Back then, Xiao Qin had used the Four Seasons saber technique's Grieving Frost to break this move. Now, there was no need to go through so much trouble. With a thought, Xiao Qin circulated 5 strands of primordial energy. In that instant, an indistinct emperor's might appeared on Xiao Qian's body. Grand Mist power was far more formidable than the power of heaven laws. In terms of momentum, it instantly suppressed the Grand Mist power. However, at this moment, Xiao Qin still had not moved a single step. His saber had not even been drawn. When Sima Lingxuan's sword was less than a meter away from Xiao Qin, he instantly drew the lunar shadow saber. 70% comprehended lightning saber soul and 5 strands of primordial energy. The absolute difference in strength allowed Xiao Qin to knock away Sima Lingxuan's sword with one saber strike. A look of horror flashed in Sima Lingxuan's eyes. Before he could react, he was knocked back by an irresistible aura that could not be blocked. When Sima Lingxian landed on the ground, he vomited a mouthful of blood. The sword that he sent flying stabbed into the ground beside him. One move, just one move, without even using a martial technique, and Xiao Qin was defeated. Sima Lingxian smiled bitterly and said, Indeed, you lost even more miserably than that time. Actually, I should have known long ago. Given your character, you would never boast. The grievances between us shall end here. Xiao Qin sheathed his saber. When he heard Sima Lingxuan's words, he felt strangely relieved. A grudge was a cause and effect. Being able to resolve this cause and effect was indeed a good thing. After all, they were both from the Sky Dome realm. Whether they were willing or not, they could not deny this fact. After thinking for a while, Xiao Qin said, Many thanks. Also, congratulations on resolving this cause and effect. Sima Lingxian stood up and carefully sheathed his sword. After a long time, he said, You have the luck of our Sky Dome realm on you. No matter what, I hope that you can clear your great tribulation of wind and fire and walk the Emperor's road. After saying that, Sima Lingxian turned around and mounted his tall horse. Then he pulled on the reins and galloped off, disappearing from the road. The many great bandits that rushed over happened to see Shao Chen defeat Sima Lingxian in one move. This scene startled them. After the Outstanding Talent Summit meeting, Sima Lingxian had improved the most. He was now the strongest outstanding talent of the Black Sea. However, such an existence could not even block one saber strike from the returning Shaoqin. In that case, these people who thought that they had improved and could fight with Shaoqin again would be even worse off. If Sima Lingxian could not block one move, could they block even half a move? As the many Black Sea outstanding talents watched Shaoqin enter the Flame Rock Fort, they were all speechless. Originally, they wanted to challenge Shaoqin, but now they buried all of them in their hearts. Brother Shaoqin, you and this Sima Lingxian are old acquaintances. It looks like there is a deep grudge between you and him? Ba Tu asked out of curiosity. Shaoqin nodded and gave a simple explanation of the grudges between him and Sima Lingxian in the Sky Dome realm. Ba Tu suddenly understood. He said, "No wonder. I heard that after the previous Outstanding Talent Summit meeting, many people saw Sima Lingxian cry after he retreated without a fight." Cry. Shaoqin was startled. How could a man cry so easily? Sima Lingxian actually cried. Suddenly, Shaoqin soared into the air. From a distance, he could vaguely see Sima Lingxian riding a horse into the distance. Sima Lingxian's lonely figure appeared somewhat desolate. Shaoqin was entranced by this sight. He muttered, "So, you are a sentimental person as well." Shaoqin blamed himself in his heart. If he had known about this earlier, he would not have let Sima Lingxian suffer such a miserable defeat. "Brother Shao, are you all right? My grandfather is still waiting for you." Ba Tu asked worriedly with a grave expression when he saw Shaoqin in the air. Shaoqin landed and said, "I'm fine. I just feel somewhat regretful. Many of the people from the Sky Dome realm who came to the Kunlun realm with me are unknown. I do not know if they are still alive or not. I can only see one or two of them. He is the first to give me his blessings." The first blessings from an old friend on the Emperor's road turned out to be an old enemy. The Flame Rock Sovereign waited for a long time in the courtyard. Ba Tu tactfully left, leaving only Shaoqin and the Flame Rock Sovereign. "After not seeing you for half a year, you really became the second Blood Sword Sovereign. You condensed the heart of an emperor before advancing to martial emperor. However, this is not a good thing, either." The Flame Rock Sovereign glanced at Shaoqin as he spoke, a hint of worry on his face. Shaoqin sat down and poured a cup of tea for the Flame Rock Sovereign. Then he continued, "I understand. The great tribulation of wind and fire is determined by the strength of the person undergoing the tribulation. The stronger the person undergoing the tribulation, the more dangerous the tribulation will be. However, I have to do this. I do not have much time. I need to quickly advance to consummation, blue-robed emperor. Otherwise, I will not even have the chance to undergo the tribulation. Advancing to martial emperor would be pointless." The Flame Rock Sovereign drained the tea in his cup. Then he sighed and said, "In my 2,000-odd years of life, I have seen many startling geniuses. However, compared to you, they all pale in comparison. Going back further, even during the most glorious ancient era of the Kunlun realm, there were not many who had a harder time advancing to emperor than you." Shaoqin said humbly, "Senior, you are too polite. This time, I also have some questions that I would like to ask Senior." The Flame Rock Sovereign nodded and said, "I guess a little. You must have many questions about condensing the heart of an emperor. Speak. If I can answer them, I will tell you everything I know." Shaoqin thought for a while before asking, "Might I ask if Senior knows what an abandoned land is?" The Flame Rock Sovereign smiled and said, "A regular emperor might not know about this. However, at my level, an abandoned land is no longer a secret. The seniors who disappeared in history mostly left this world. However, after the 100 Race War of the ancient era, no one has been able to leave this abandoned land." Shao Qin asked out of curiosity, "Why?" The Flame Rock Sovereign hesitated for a while, swirling the tea in his cup. After thinking for a while, he said, "Given your current strength, there is no harm in telling you. In any case, you will have to face it sooner or later." After the 100 Race War, the Kunlun realm fell from the peak of the martial Tao. Although the Kunlun realm won a bitter victory in that demonic calamity, it still gave the Dark Church a chance, allowing them to seal off the exit to the abandoned land. This was the first time Shao Qin heard such news. He felt shocked in his heart. He exclaimed in shock, "There is an exit to the abandoned land." "There used to be, but it is gone now." "Where is it?" "You should have seen it before. The boundless peak that suppresses the rock of origin in the Kunlun mountain range is the original road to heaven." Shao Qin thought for a while and remembered. Back then, when he went to the heavenly dew-divine spring, he had indeed seen that boundless peak. At that time, it had left a deep impression on Shao Qin. That peak had been majestic and majestic with no end in sight. There had also been Emperor Wu of the various races guarding there. So it is that peak. Unexpectedly, the Kunlun realm has such a path. The Flame Rock Sovereign smiled bitterly and said, "Don't overthink. Even if that path is not blocked, not many people would chase it away. There is a slim chance of survival. Furthermore, it is completely blocked now. The entire Kunlun realm is a huge cage. No matter what kind of genius you are, you will not be able to escape the butcher's knife of time in the end. Eventually you will die." The Flame Rock Sovereign's words were filled with helplessness, very similar to the tone of the Haotian Emperor, Ingzongtian. Perhaps every person who advanced to Sovereign Martial Emperor would feel this kind of bitterness. Under the seemingly glorious exterior, there was a bitterness that others would find hard to understand. What is the background of this dark church? Why do they want to eradicate our Kunlun realm? Shao Qin could not figure it out. The Flame Rock Sovereign made an expression of being unable to answer. Then he waved his hand and said, "No one knows." The Dark Church already existed in the ancient era. At that time, nearly all the races that survived the Immortal epoch died at their hands. They are like a nightmare. After that, the desolate ancient era and the ancient era all showed signs of them. Originally, the ancient era was the peak of the martial epoch. That was the time when the martial epoch was the most confident of eliminating the Dark Church. However, the various races fought each other, killing each other. This gave the Dark Church an opportunity. This is really ironic. Shao Qin thought of something and asked, "When will the next demonic calamity arrive?" It's hard to say. Originally, the primes of the various races predicted that the Dark Church would take action within 10 years. However, there seems to be some variables delaying the demonic calamity. The next demonic calamity might be extraordinary. It would be fine if it does not come. Once the next demonic calamity arrives, it will definitely sweep through the entire Kunlun realm. Shao Qin recalled Chu Chaoyan saying that the Qing Emperor's evil thoughts, Teng Shao, had failed in his attempt to become the church master and was killed instead. Could this variable be? However, Shao Qin could not tell the Flame Rock Sovereign about this. It was just his guess. Chapter 1246. The Flame Rock Sovereign did not seem willing to speak about this. He put down his teacup and smiled. "Let's not talk about this anymore. Since you already condensed the heart of an emperor, you should ask more about cultivation. With my strength, I should be able to give you some pointers." Shao Qin felt embarrassed in his heart. He quickly said, "Senior is being too humble. This junior would be more than happy to receive pointers. I will definitely gain a lot." Upon hearing this, the Flame Rock Sovereign rejoiced in his heart. This Shao Qin still understood the big picture. He did not become arrogant and ignorant because of his current accomplishments. In reality, with the Flame Rock Sovereign's current strength, even 100 Shao Qin would not be a match for him. The Flame Rock Sovereign smiled and said, "Come, let me see your primordial energy first." After saying that, The Flame Rock Sovereign placed a finger on Xiao Chen's forehead. Xiao Chen did not resist, allowing the other party's spiritual sense to enter his body. After a while, the Flame Rock Sovereign released his finger. In that instant, Xiao Chen felt a beam of light quickly circle his body. The other party clearly saw the law energy in his body, the vital qi of his physical body, and the mental energy in his sea of consciousness. What a fellow! Before advancing to Martial Emperor, you already have 10 strands of primordial energy. Furthermore, they are so dense. Half-step golden body, 10 strands of primordial energy, a 7th layer saber soul, and a peak will of thunder. Right now, your overall combat prowess is no weaker than that of a first heaven martial emperor like Emperor Wu. Xiao Chen listened quietly. The Flame Rock Sovereign had not finished speaking yet. The latter part was what he was most interested in. The Flame Rock Sovereign withdrew his smile and continued. However, I can tell you clearly that it is practically impossible for you to clear your great tribulation of wind and fire with just these. Xiao Chen did not reveal any displeasure. He said seriously, Senior, please give me pointers. The Flame Rock Sovereign nodded to himself and said, Stay with me for a while. I will focus on giving you pointers for this 1 month. When Xiao Chen heard that, he rejoiced and said, Many thanks, Senior. Time was very precious for a sovereign martial emperor. Xiao Chen was not master and disciple, nor did he have a blood relationship with the Flame Rock Sovereign. He was willing to stop his cultivation for a month to guide him. Needless to say, this opportunity was extremely precious. You're too polite. I'll use the power of a normal half-step Emperor Wu to exchange pointers with you. There's no need to use primordial energy. You can use any trump cards you have. First, I will show you how to bring out your full strength without wasting it. Hearing this, Xiao Chen was slightly taken aback and said with slight surprise, Senior, isn't that a bit too much? Right now, I am facing Emperor Wu of the 1st layer of heaven, and I still have the power to fight him. The Flame Rock Sovereign smiled and said, In that case, I'll make a bet with you. I'll give you 10 chances to make a move. As long as you can make him take 1 step back, it will be your win. If you win, I will give you a big gift that you absolutely need. If you lose, give me all your peak grade 1,000-year flame. All right, it's a deal then. Xiao Chen did not even think about it before agreeing. If Xiao Chen wanted to defeat the Flame Rock Sovereign, who only used the strength of a half-step Emperor Wu, he might be shocked, but he also had some doubts. However, Xiao Chen absolutely did not believe that he could knock the other party back. This was not blind arrogance, but confidence in his own strength. There was no need to undervalue himself. Xiao Chen held the lunar shadow saber and looked at the Flame Rock Sovereign. Senior, are you ready? You can make your move at any time. All right. In that case, sorry for the offense. There was a total of 10 chances to make a move. Out of caution and confidence in his own strength, Xiao Chen did not use his primordial energy on the first move. He directly used his heavenly laws to execute the 1,000-year Great Establishment. A boundless tyrannical aura of kingship spread out from Xiao Chen's body in an overwhelming manner. Xiao Chen's figure flashed, and many cities appeared in the air. Millions of people appeared in the cities, kneeling and chanting, Long live! Xiao Chen's aura surged like a surging wave, instantly reaching its peak. When the cheers of Long live merged into one, Xiao Chen's tyrannical 1,000-year hegemony establishment hacked down ruthlessly. Of all the medial grade, profound martial techniques that Xiao Chen grasped, the 1,000-year hegemony establishment was the most tyrannical. Xiao Chen was rather confident of using this move to force back the Flame Rock Sovereign. Xiao Chen found it hard to believe that the half-step Emperor Wu would not take half a step back after receiving this move head-on. Even the Flame Rock Sovereign would not be an exception. Retreat. The dynasty's tyrannical aura howled, displaying the luck of a dynasty for 1,000 years. The saber strike that Xiao Qin sent out perfectly carried this luck. Being able to use and withdraw a medial grade, profound martial technique as one pleased was a sign of reaching the next level. Being able to use and withdraw as one pleased was a sign of reaching small perfection. The next level was becoming one with the will, comprehending the state contained in the profound martial technique and infusing it into the move. This was the sign of a great perfection martial technique. The final level was moving as one with the will. With a thought, before one made a move, all the mysterious phenomena of the martial technique would be completed in an instant. The instant one drew the weapon, all the might of the martial technique would burst forth. This was peak consummation. Every martial technique had these 4 levels, reaching the next level, small perfection, great perfection, and finally consummation. The higher the grade of a martial technique, the more difficult it was to cultivate. For a medial grade, profound martial technique, a regular minor heavenly emperor would find it very difficult to reach great perfection unless he cultivated it for more than 100 years. However, Xiao Chen's 1,000-year hegemony establishment was clearly only a step away from great perfection. The Flame Rock Sovereign nodded to himself in praise. No wonder this Xiao Chen was so confident before him. He was indeed a genius, startlingly talented. However, Xiao Chen was still lacking something. It would be somewhat difficult to knock him back. The Flame Rock Sovereign watched as that powerful saber light chopped down. When it was less than 3 meters away, he moved. The Flame Rock Sovereign ferociously pushed his right hand forward, and his entire body turned scarlet like he had turned into a flame crystal. His entire body burned. However, when the Flame Rock Sovereign was about to clash with Xiao Chen's saber light, the flames on his entire body surged towards the Flame Rock Sovereign's index finger like a river. In that instant, the flame on the Flame Rock Sovereign's fingertip became incredibly dazzling, completely blocking out the sunlight. The entire world suddenly turned dark. Only that spot of light remained dazzling and piercing. Ka! When the Flame Rock Sovereign's fingertip touched the saber light, space tore. Someone took 10 steps back before he could stabilize himself. It was not the Flame Rock Sovereign, but Xiao Qin, who had chopped down with absolute confidence. Xiao Qin felt shocked. How did he do it? How did he gather all the energy in his body at one point, not wasting any at all? If Xiao Qin had done this himself, his finger would have exploded immediately. Not only would he not be able to injure his opponent, but he would also end up crippling himself. Emperor Wu's golden body? That's not right. Since Senior Flame Rock Sovereign said that he would only use the strength of a half-step Emperor Wu, he definitely would not go back on his word. After getting knocked back in one move, Xiao Qin did not panic. Instead, he calmly analyzed the situation. The Flame Rock Sovereign revealed a smile on his face. Not bad. Such a mental state is hard to come by. After thinking for a long time, Xiao Qin could not understand what was going on. The other party's technique was too scary. The 1,000-year hegemony establishment was already the Flame Rock Sovereign's most tyrannical martial technique. If he could not even succeed with this, his other martial techniques would not be effective. If Xiao Chen wanted to use primordial energy, forget it. If he used primordial energy, even if he won by luck, he would feel that he had an unfair advantage. I admit defeat. Xiao Qin smiled bitterly. Then he took out all the 1,000-year flame that Imo Qin left for him from the universe ring, feeling some heartache. Ha ha ha. The Flame Rock Sovereign laughed loudly and stretched out his hand, wanting to pull all the 1,000-year flame into his spatial ring. Humph! Just at this moment, Ao Jiao, who was in the Immortal Spirit Ring, moved to the side at some point in time. Then, she snorted coldly with her lips curled up. Xiao Qin glanced at the Flame Rock Sovereign, clearly hinting at him to try and take it away if you dare. Then, she raised her head to the sky, not looking at the Flame Rock Sovereign. The Flame Rock Sovereign withdrew his cocky smile. Feeling somewhat guilty from Ao Jiao's glare, he smiled embarrassedly and said, "Little brother, you are getting serious, getting serious. I was just joking. Hee hee. I just knew that little Ba would not bully the weak. A senior is a senior." Ao Jiao's expression changed in the blink of an eye, turning into a radiant smile. Then she walked over and hugged all the 1,000-year flame on the ground. Then she said, "That's right. What big gift? I already said it. Just take it out. Why are you still hiding it?" When Xiao Chen saw the situation, he quickly said, "Ao Jiao, I lost the bet." A smile bloomed on Ao Jiao's face. Then she blinked and looked at the Flame Rock Sovereign. "Is that so?" The Flame Rock Sovereign looked at the 1,000-year flame in Ao Jiao's embrace. Then he gulped and said, "Yes, yes. No, no. Little friend Xiao Chen, the bet was just a joke. Given my seniority, how can I bet with you? Here, this is a greeting gift." After saying that, the Flame Rock Sovereign tossed out a jade bottle with a pained expression. Xiao Chen caught it and opened the bottle cap. Instantly, a familiar aura surged out, startling him into losing his calm. That's right, this is a primordial pill, a total of 10. Every 100 years, I use primordial energy to refine one. Originally, I left it for that brat Bayan. Now I'll give it to you. Use it well. I believe that you will be able to clear your great tribulation of wind and fire. It was really a primordial pill. How vast was the amount of primordial energy needed to refine primordial energy into a pill? Furthermore, the Flame Rock Sovereign also needed primordial energy to cultivate. One pill every 100 years was definitely worth it. This gift was too heavy. Xiao Chen felt somewhat ashamed to accept it. However, he was reluctant to give it up. "There's no need to stand on ceremony. I believe that you're not a person who likes to stand on ceremony." Xiao Chen carefully put away the 10 primordial pills. These 10 primordial pills were simply too precious. No wonder the Flame Rock Sovereign said that he definitely needed them. Ao Jiao walked over happily and took the primordial pills from Xiao Chen's hands. Then she winked at Xiao Chen and whispered, "I'll help you put them away first. Remember to squeeze out more from him." Back then, this Ba Yin dared to call me Big Sister. There's no need to stand on ceremony with him. When the Flame Rock Sovereign, who already had a pained expression, heard that, his lips twitched again for some reason. After Ao Jiao was far away, Xiao Chen said, "Senior, the brewer of this 1,000-year flame is on my Heavenly Star Island. When I return to my conferred land, I'll ask her to brew some more peak-grade 1,000-year flame and send them over." Upon hearing this, the Flame Rock Sovereign smiled and said, "Good, good, good. You must remember that I love fine wine the most, especially strong wine. I've drunk this 1,000-year flame once, and I can't forget it anymore." Xiao Chen nodded and said, "Definitely." The Flame Rock Sovereign withdrew his smile and turned serious. He said, "In this 1 month of guidance, I will not teach you any martial techniques. I will only teach you 3 things. The first is what you saw earlier. It allows you to gather all your energy at one point. That is the sharp spirit finger. Although it is called a finger, once you truly grasp it, you will be able to use it as you please. You can use every part of your body, not just your fingertip." Chapter 1247. The second is about Emperor Wu's cultivation, how to maximize the use of your primordial energy so that you do not waste natural resources. The third is the most closely related to you, some techniques for undergoing tribulations. Xiao Chen's expression turned solemn. These 3 techniques could all become divine techniques. All of them were extraordinary. As long as Xiao Chen learned any one of them, he would gain a lot. The Flame Rock Sovereign's kindness was simply too great. The Flame Rock Sovereign continued, "However, my guidance will not be easy. You will have to endure great pain for every technique. This is especially so for the third technique. You might even face the danger of dying. Xiao Qin did not show any fear. With a resolute gaze, he said, "Senior, don't worry." Along the way, this junior already understood this principle. The greater the value, the greater the risk and price. There is no such thing as reaping without sowing. I'll teach you the sharp spirit finger first. Little friend Xiao Qin, how do you think I managed to do that earlier finger? The Flame Rock Sovereign asked as he looked at Xiao Qin. It seemed like he was testing Xiao Qin's comprehension ability. Xiao Qin entered deep thought. After thinking for a while, he said, "On the surface, it looks like you continuously compress all your energy and gather it at one point. Finally, you use that point to break through, bringing out offensive power that far surpasses your cultivation." Earlier, the Flame Rock Sovereign's finger had been executed with the cultivation of a half-step Emperor Wu. However, the destructive power it brought was even stronger than the medial grade, profound, martial technique that Xiao Qin executed. However, if it were that simple, there would not be anything special about this technique. Anyone would be able to learn it with one glance. Why would the Flame Rock Sovereign teach it to Xiao Qin like a treasure? The Flame Rock Sovereign smiled faintly and nodded. "Continue." Xiao Qin thought for a while more before saying, "The true situation is definitely not that simple. The law energy flows in the body like water. The human body is like a water sack. Once there is too much water in a certain area, the water sack will deform. If it is 1 or 2 times, it is still bearable. However, if it exceeds 10 times, 100 times, or even 1,000 times, something will happen to the water sack, causing it to explode." The Flame Rock Sovereign's smile widened. "This is my first time hearing such an analogy. Interesting. Continue. How can one ensure that the water sack does not explode?" The Flame Rock Sovereign did not say whether Xiao Qin's guess was right or wrong. He gestured for Xiao Qin to continue thinking. Xiao Qin felt encouraged and continued. "There are 2 ways to prevent the water sack from breaking. The first is to increase the toughness of the water sack, which is the strength of the physical body. The other is to increase the water's density, which is to strengthen the physical body. The second is to increase the water's density, which is to increase the water's density." Xiao Qin's train of thought grew clearer. He continued, "If I were to guess, Senior should have used the second method. This is because Senior only used the strength of a half-step martial emperor and did not use the golden emperor body." The Flame Rock Sovereign guffawed, confusing Xiao Qin. "Am I right or wrong? Senior, am I right or wrong?" Xiao Qin asked carefully. Now he really did not know what the other party was thinking. After the Flame Rock Sovereign had laughed enough, he replied, "Sorry, you are completely wrong. However, I feel that your train of thought is a direction. Yes, I can consider it." Xiao Qin felt speechless. The Flame Rock Sovereign was digging a hole for him to pick. At first, when he saw the Flame Rock Sovereign's expression, he thought that he had guessed correctly. Unexpectedly, the Flame Rock Sovereign said such a thing. "Senior, there is no need to trick me like that, right?" Xiao Qin said, feeling depressed. The Flame Rock Sovereign said, "I am not tricking you. No matter how good the technique I comprehended is, it is still mine. It cannot compare to your own comprehension. Your direction is indeed correct. However, the physical body is the physical body after all. It is different from the water sack. My technique can be summarized in one word: fast." "Fast? What does that mean?" "It means extreme speed. With such a vast amount of energy gathered, the physical body indeed cannot endure it. However, if it is only 1,000th of a second or 100th of a second, do you think the physical body can endure it?" Inspiration flashed in Xiao Qin's mind, and he immediately felt enlightened. Indeed, if it was only 1,000th of a second or 100th of a second, given the toughness of the physical body, it could endure it. However, Doing so was challenging the limits. If he was too slow, he might end up crippling his physical body. The gains would not make up for the losses. It was like dancing on a tightrope. If Xiao Chen got careless and fell, he would be consigned to eternal damnation. I'll demonstrate it a few times for you. Watch carefully. The Flame Rock Sovereign's expression turned serious. He casually pointed, and the sky turned dark. Nothing could be seen, aside from the sun-like light on the Flame Rock Sovereign's fingertip. Even the Flame Rock Sovereign's face and body were covered by this light, merging into the night. The light flashed, and a fiery sun-like light appeared on the Flame Rock Sovereign's shoulder. The light flickered, and sun-like flames continuously appeared on the Flame Rock Sovereign's body. Xiao Chen opened his eyes wide and looked carefully. With the Flame Rock Sovereign's patient demonstration, he finally discovered some of the secrets. A faint red whirlpool spun continuously in the Flame Rock Sovereign's chest. No matter where the law energy flowed to, this red whirlpool did not disappear even once. It looked like the red whirlpool never stopped. However, in reality, the red whirlpool kept flickering, moving incredibly quickly. It was even faster than the resplendent, sun-like flames. However, it was simply too fast. The naked eye could no longer capture it, creating the illusion that it never stopped. The light stopped flickering, and the Flame Rock Sovereign asked, "How is it? Did you figure anything out?" Xiao Chen nodded and said, "The core of Senior's sharp spirit finger should be the red whirlpool in the chest. Without being able to condense the red whirlpool, even if others know the principles of this sharp spirit finger, they would not dare to try it." That's right. This sharp spirit finger came from before I advanced to Martial Emperor. By coincidence, I had a flash of inspiration while I was in the state of being one with heaven, and I comprehended it. Xiao Chen continued, "There is no such thing as a flash of inspiration for no reason in the world. Without a lot of accumulation, it would not appear out of nowhere." When the Flame Rock Sovereign heard this, he showed a stunned expression. He had not expected Xiao Chen to understand it so thoroughly. This was something that he had only understood after living for more than 1,000 years. "Right now, there are two paths for you to choose. One is for me to teach you the sharp spirit finger according to my own method. The other is for you to follow your original path and perfect it. If you need anything, I will be there at your beck and call." Xiao Chen did not hesitate for long before making his decision. "I choose the second path." Xiao Chen's speed flabbergasted the Flame Rock Sovereign. "Why? You have to think this through. I only said it casually. With so little time, it is too difficult to comprehend it on your own. I've thought it through. Senior is right. In the end, what I comprehend on my own is more suitable for me. Choosing the first path might seem simple and allow me to grasp it quickly. However, Senior is a fire-attributed cultivator, and I am a lightning-attributed cultivator. Although I can grasp it quickly, I will need to spend a lot of time to perfect it in the future." Xiao Chen continued his analysis. "If I choose the second path, it might seem like I will take a long time to grasp it. However, once I do, it will be perfectly compatible with my body, and the efficiency will be even higher." The Flame Rock Sovereign smiled and said, "Are you that confident that you can comprehend it on your own?" Xiao Chen said calmly, "Senior already explained it to me so clearly and personally demonstrated it. If I really cannot comprehend it, then it can only be said that this sharp spirit finger is not suitable for me." The Flame Rock Sovereign said, "Good. In that case, I'll give you 10 days. Whether you succeed or not, I will skip this step and directly teach you the second technique, how to use primordial energy." Xiao Chen nodded. He was not in a rush to think about it. Instead, he had the Flame Rock Sovereign explain in detail how he comprehended the sharp spirit finger back then. 2 days passed just like that. Even the Flame Rock Sovereign felt somewhat tired from Xiao Chen. However, Xiao Chen still persisted. carefully asking for guidance. To Xiao Chen's understanding, having such a sovereign martial emperor by his side was more useful than any secret technique. On the third day, Xiao Chen stopped asking the flame rock sovereign questions. A pile of books as tall as a person piled up beside him. These were all cultivation techniques and martial techniques that the flame rock sovereign had casually mentioned. The flame rock sovereign was flabbergasted when he saw this. Even he could not remember them all. However, Xiao Chen did not miss anything, remembering everything. On the fourth day, another pile of books appeared beside Xiao Chen. These were all lightning-attributed cultivation techniques and martial techniques that Xiao Chen had borrowed from the Flame Rock Sovereign. The Flame Rock Sovereign and Ao Jiao drank the 1,000-year flame. Occasionally, they glanced at Xiao Chen, who was seriously reading in the dueling ground. The Flame Rock Sovereign frowned and said, "Almost half the time has passed, and he is still reading. He is too calm." Now, the Flame Rock Sovereign even suspected that he had misjudged Xiao Chen. Had he run into an armchair scholar? Ao Jiao smiled and scolded, "Just you wait. Xiao Chen never does something he is not confident of. Since he dared to choose the second path with you, he definitely has his own confidence. You have no idea how strong his comprehension ability is." The Flame Rock Sovereign said, "I also hope that he can comprehend it himself. That would be better than anything else. However, there are only 6 days left, and he is still so calm. I'm starting to worry." "Hey, Xiao Chen moved," Ao Jiao said as she put down her wine cup. The Flame Rock Sovereign's eyes lit up. He quickly looked over and could not help feeling disappointed. After putting down his book, Xiao Chen still did not meditate or cultivate. Instead, he started trying. In the end, he did not succeed even once. Instead, the lightning bolts covered his body in wounds, severely injuring his internal organs several times. The Flame Rock Sovereign wanted to stop Xiao Chen, but Ao Jiao stopped him. "Don't go. Given his stubbornness, he will not listen to your advice at this time." This repeated over and over again. Lightning flashed and thunder roared in this dueling ground, day or night. Such a mysterious phenomenon startled all the cultivators and servants in the entire Flame Rock Castle. When everyone saw Xiao Chen torturing himself in the dueling ground, they all revealed incredulous expressions. "What is he doing? I heard that he is comprehending the Flame Rock Sovereign's consummate technique, the sharp spirit finger. What a joke, right? He wants to comprehend the sharp spirit finger by torturing himself like that? Did a donkey kick him in the head?" As the thunder roared, the sky was always covered in dark clouds, regardless of whether it was day or night, and the clouds rolled endlessly. 3 days passed. This startled not only the people of the Flame Rock Castle, but all the cultivators in Dark City as well. Chapter 1248. The phenomenon lasted for too long. Hundreds and thousands of flashes of lightning could be seen clearly even from 100 miles away. When the many people who did not know what was going on saw this mysterious phenomenon, they all thought that the Flame Rock Castle was refining some powerful divine weapon or peak emperor grade secret treasure. In the end, even the other great bandits in Dark City were startled. "Flame Rock Sovereign, what are you doing hiding in the Flame Rock Castle? Why did you not inform us about refining a powerful divine weapon?" The top great bandit of the Black Sea, the Blood Shark Sovereign, said coldly when he appeared outside the castle, "Could it be that you think your ranking is too low and want to change places?" The Flame Rock Sovereign looked at the other 12 great bandits standing outside the castle. All of them had hostile gazes, and he broke out in a cold sweat. The Flame Rock Sovereign could not explain himself, so he had no choice but to remove the formation around the Flame Rock Castle and let these great bandits in. The Flame Rock Sovereign cursed. "Stinking brat, you really know how to cause trouble for me. Since when did my Flame Rock Castle open to other great bandits? To think that they came in groups now." When the many cultivators outside the castle saw that the great bandits were let in, they took advantage of the opening of the formation to rush in. The Flame Rock Sovereign cursed. He simply could not be bothered with this. After all, there were no shameful secrets. Letting these people in would save them from spreading rumors in the future. When everyone figured out the truth and saw Shao Qin covered in wounds and disheveled hair amid the thunder and lightning, his face unrecognizable, everyone was stunned. Who is this? Is he crazy? If he can comprehend the sharp spirit finger like this, then the consummate technique of the great bandits is too worthless. I bet that he will not be able to comprehend the sharp spirit finger. He might even end up playing himself to death. Who is betting with you? Isn't it obvious? The Flame Rock Sovereign is really too discerning. He might as well teach it himself, making everyone in the city suspicious. When the Flame Rock Sovereign heard this, he felt so frustrated that he wanted to vomit blood. He looked at Shao Qin, who pretended not to hear anything, as if he did not see everyone around him. The Flame Rock Sovereign thought to himself, "Little friend, oh, little friend, you have to do me proud. Now that the 12 great bandits have come out, if you really cannot comprehend it, I will become a big joke. Old friends, now that you understand the truth of the matter, you can leave." The Flame Rock Sovereign said indifferently as he withdrew his gaze from Shao Qin and looked at the others. The top great pirate of the Black Sea, the Blood Shark Sovereign, smiled and said, "Flame Rock Sovereign, don't be in such a rush to chase us away. This is our first time entering this Flame Rock Castle. The decorations are pretty good." The other bandits had smiles on their faces, showing no signs of leaving. Shao Qin thought to himself, "I knew that a bunch of old ghosts wouldn't leave so easily." Zhong Buxiong looked at Shao Qin, who was comprehending alone amid the lightning. Then he asked, "How long has the Flame Rock Sovereign been doing this?" 3 days. It's like this day and night. Naturally. Otherwise, how could I have lured you bunch of old fogies over? The Flame Rock Sovereign retorted angrily. Upon hearing this, the Blood Shark Monarch, Zhong Buxiong, and the other pirates of the Black Sea were astonished. At this moment, Shao Chen's hair was disheveled, and wounds covered his body. The lightning blasted his body until it was mangled. The pain he was in went without saying. However, Shao Chen persisted for 3 days without any intention of stopping. "Isn't this little fellow a little too stubborn? He wants to rely on your pointers to torture himself and comprehend the sharp spirit finger. He is too naive." The 9th-ranked old man of the 13 great bandits of the Black Sea said while shaking his head. These great bandits had all seen the might of the Flame Rock Sovereign's sharp spirit finger. They also knew how horrifying the Flame Rock Sovereign's sharp spirit finger was when it was at its full power. Most of them did not think that Shao Qin could comprehend the sharp spirit finger in such a short time. However, when they saw Shao Chen's stubbornness, they were still shocked. If they were as young as Shao Qin, they would not be so stubborn. Zhong Buxiong said, "Even if this person cannot comprehend the sharp spirit finger, he will definitely be a powerful and ambitious person. He lives up to his reputation as the descendant of the Qing Emperor." The Blood Shark Sovereign smiled and said, "Strange. I heard that your adopted son seems to have a great grudge with him. Why do you still give this person such a high evaluation? This is not like you." Zhong Buxiong smiled and said, "It is already in the past. However, I heard that this person also beat up your grandson very miserably at the Outstanding Talent Summit meeting. It is not just you. It seems like all the great bandits present suffered greatly at this person's hands." Speaking of which, there was actually no meaning to it. The 13 great bandits of the Black Sea were all sovereign martial emperors. When they worked together to rule the vast Black Sea, which one of them was not a proud and arrogant person? Someone taught their juniors a lesson. Naturally, they would hold a grudge. Now that they learned the truth, they did not intend to leave. All the great bandits had the same thought. They just wanted to take a look. Just what kind of existence was this young man who suppressed the geniuses of the Black Sea to the point where they couldn't even raise their heads? The blood shark sovereign smiled abashedly and did not dwell on this topic. Flame Rock Sovereign, how much time did you give him? 10 days. Now there are only 3 days left. Everyone present sucked in a breath of cold air. Wanting to comprehend the sharp spirit finger in 10 days? This was a little too crazy. The blood shark sovereign recovered his wits and said, "Good. We will wait here for 3 days and see if he can comprehend the sharp spirit finger." The 13 great bandits of the Black Sea arrived at the same time, wanting to watch a junior comprehend. Once this news spread, it immediately caused a commotion in the Flame Rock Castle. Who were the 13 great bandits? They were sovereign martial emperors, the rulers of the Black Sea. Which one of them was not a fierce and ambitious person? Even in the entire Kunlun realm, when all of them worked together, they could shake up the world with a stomp of their feet. Today, all of them gathered together for a junior, waiting for him for 3 days. Damn, this is really a big show. If he really succeeds, his name will go down in the annals of the entire oceanic world. Don't worry, he absolutely won't succeed. Look at him now. He looks neither human nor ghost. How can he comprehend it? That's true. After all, the sharp spirit finger is a consummate technique of a sovereign martial emperor that is not passed down to others. How can he comprehend it so easily? That's impossible. All the cultivators in the Flame Rock Castle sank into some kind of anxiety. More accurately, it was fear. Xiao Chen's sudden appearance already placed enormous pressure on them. Sweeping through all the outstanding talents at the Outstanding Talent Summit meeting cast a shadow in their hearts. If they were to comprehend the telepathic finger in just a short 10 days, the pressure would make them completely unable to breathe. Everyone held their breaths, waiting for the final moment. Before the result came out, they would forever feel anxious. If Xiao Chen failed in his comprehension, these people would go wild with joy. The joy of schadenfreude would instantly fill their hearts. However, these people would not have imagined that even if Xiao Chen failed in his comprehension, he would still firmly suppress them. As long as Xiao Chen was around, he would forever be above them. Being in the same generation as Little Red Sin was a kind of tragedy. The various things happening in the outside world did not affect Xiao Chen, who was comprehending. He was completely immersed in comprehending. Although he sensed so many people coming to the Flame Rock Castle, he did not divert his attention at all. The others only saw him covered in wounds from the lightning bolts, a tragic sight to behold. However, they did not discover that after every experiment, Xiao Chen's frown would relax slightly. After hundreds, thousands, or even tens of thousands of experiments, the doubts in Xiao Chen's heart slowly cleared up. The pain he endured with every experiment went without saying. However, this was a rare opportunity. The Flame Rock Sovereign personally explained, demonstrated, and even told Xiao Chen every detail of the process of comprehending. This was a great opportunity. Xiao Chen absolutely could not give up. He feared that if he did not persevere this time, he would lose the inspiration he obtained from the Flame Rock Sovereign once time passed. This was how strange inspiration was. If one did not grab hold of it, one might not be able to do so for the rest of one's life. Hence, even if the pain was 100 or 1,000 times greater, Xiao Chen absolutely could not give up. He had to succeed in comprehending. If someone's eyes could see through the body, they would find out. These 9 clumps of lightning formed a circle in Xiao Chen's chest, spinning continuously. The endlessly flickering electric light in the sky and the roaring thunder were all triggered by these 9 clumps of lightning. After thousands of attempts, Xiao Chen proved that the path he thought of was the most suitable for him. These 9 clumps of lightning were the result of Xiao Chen condensing and suppressing all the energy in his body. With a thought, the 9 clumps of lightning became like horses galloping in the sky, gathering at Xiao Chen's fingertip. However, Some of them exploded along the way. A bloody hole immediately appeared in Xiao Chen's chest. Electricity flickered in the wound, inflicting intense pain. Some of them gathered together, but before they reached the fingertip, they could not merge perfectly. They exploded at the same time, nearly losing half of Xiao Chen's arm amid loud explosions. Some of them managed to reach the fingertip after much difficulty. However, they did not manage to unleash them at the last step, directly exploding. Xiao Chen consumed a holy medicinal pill for treating injuries from the Thunder King's inheritance. Combined with the horrifying recovery ability of his half-step golden body, his wounds healed at a visible pace. However, just as the old wounds healed, new ones appeared. This was because Xiao Qin started what seemed like a masochistic attempt. As Xiao Qin comprehended, he forgot about the flow of time. He did not know how much time had passed. Then he revealed an expression of understanding. It is already sufficiently condensed. However, compared to the Flame Rock Sovereign, my energy is more mixed. If I want to merge them perfectly, I have to resolve the balance between vital qi, law energy, and primordial energy. The Flame Rock Sovereign was right. Xiao Chen's direction was indeed correct. After these unimaginable attempts, only one problem remained for Xiao Chen's sharp spirit finger: how to maintain the balance between his physical body, vital qi, primordial energy, and heavenly laws. It's time to meditate. Xiao Chen muttered to himself. He was more or less done with his experiments. The next step was to meditate and properly digest the comprehensions he gained from the more than 10,000 tests. In the end, he solved the last problem. After stopping that inhumane experiment, Xiao Chen's injuries recovered rapidly. Chapter 1249. As Xiao Chen entered meditation, all the roaring thunder and rumbling lightning disappeared. Xiao Chen sat cross-legged in midair, showing a solemn expression. Xiao Chen's long hair flowed freely behind him, moving with the wind and revealing his delicate and handsome face. The white-robed bladesman still looked as elegant as before. He is starting to meditate. He is really persistent. He actually lasted 5 days in that almost masochistic state. There seems to be only 1 day left of his appointment with the Flame Rock Sovereign. Trying to meditate and meditate in 1 day? That is too difficult. When Xiao Chen entered a meditative state, all the rumbling thunder and mysterious phenomena disappeared. When the sunlight shone down, it seemed to shine on the white-robed bladesman hovering in midair, adding some solemnity to Xiao Chen's elegant and extraordinary air. Like the other cultivators, the 13 great bandits of the Black Sea all looked at Xiao Chen, who had already recovered from his injuries. At this moment, Xiao Chen had already recovered from his injuries. After consuming the sage pill from the Thunder King's inheritance, Xiao Chen's recovery ability was ridiculously strong. There were no wounds or bloodstains on the surface. Although the clear wind robes were of low rank, they had an automatic cleaning function. Furthermore, they were a gift from Lu Ruiyue. After Xiao Chen came to the Kunlun realm, he had seen many stronger treasured armors. However, he did not choose to change them. What a strong recovery ability of the physical body! It is about the same as the first Heaven Emperor Wu's golden body. Without such a strong physical body, this little fellow would not dare to act so recklessly. However, even if an ordinary person had such a strong physical body, they probably would not have the willpower to persist. Actually, if one looks carefully, this little fellow is not blindly torturing himself. Every time he tries, he should be able to gain something. However, that old fellow, the Flame Rock Sovereign, gave him too little time. He only has 1 day left to meditate. That is probably not enough. The eyes of the great bandits of the Black Sea were very bright. They saw things much more clearly than the other cultivators. When they discussed, they did not show any emotions, remaining objective and truthful. When the Flame Rock Sovereign heard this, he laughed happily. If he cannot comprehend it in 10 days, I will naturally teach him my method. You don't have to blame me. Since you think highly of my little friend, then teach him your ultimate skills. I guarantee that he will also be able to comprehend the Tao. The other great bandits of the Black Sea immediately shut up. What kind of joke was this? The consummate skills of a sovereign martial emperor were all secrets that were not passed down. The Flame Rock Sovereign rarely even passed it down to his disciples, only to those related to him by blood. There was no one as generous as the Flame Rock Sovereign. Flame Rock Sovereign, why are you doing this? What is your relationship with this little fellow? The other great bandits of the Black Sea asked, feeling confused. The Flame Rock Sovereign smiled faintly and said, I do not have any relationship with him. However, when I was young, I received many favors from his item spirit. Even if I tell you, you won't understand. Just keep watching. If my little friend really succeeds in breaking through, I want to see where you old fellows will hide your faces. Haha. Flame Rock Sovereign, there is no need to insist. We will not compete with you, for now. We will know once we keep watching. The Blood Shark Sovereign smiled faintly and continued watching with the other great bandits of the Black Sea. Time passed quietly. Without the rumbling of thunder and the incessant flickering of electricity, all the cultivators present felt somewhat unused to it. After Xiao Qin entered meditation, there were many discussions. However, after 1 hour, 2 hours, the place slowly turned silent. The reason was very simple. If the same topic continued to be discussed, anyone would find it annoying. Right now, everyone only focused their gazes on Xiao Qin, who was sitting cross-legged in the air. Time passed quietly. The sun set in the west, and night fell soon. Boom! Just at this moment, when no one was prepared, Xiao Qin's body suddenly radiated a bright electric light. The sky, which was about to turn dark, instantly turned bright with this intense light, looking like the most dazzling sunlight at noon. Xiao Qin, who was sitting cross-legged in the air, suddenly opened his eyes, and the purple electric light on his body became even more intense. It was so dazzling that no one dared to look at it directly. Xiao Qin slowly stood up in the air. A vast aura spread out together with his tyranny of kingship. What a strong aura of kingship! The Blood Shark Sovereign could not help exclaiming. Naturally, to these sovereign martial emperors, Xiao Qin's aura was not worth mentioning. However, the tyranny of kingship in Xiao Qin's aura could not be ignored. If one looked deeper, they would be even more shocked to discover an even deeper aura hidden behind this tyranny of kingship. That was the heavenly Tao that ruled over the Kunlun realm. Right now, Xiao Qin's luck was overwhelming. That mysterious luck was so strong that one could see it with the naked eye. The many sovereign martial emperors all revealed envious expressions. Overwhelming luck. This was something that every person of the martial Tao could only hope for but not obtain. Did he succeed? When the sovereign martial emperors saw the overwhelming luck behind Xiao Qin, they were momentarily distracted. As for the other ordinary cultivators, they could not see anything. They could only sense Xiao Qin's strong and horrifying aura. What they were more concerned about was whether Xiao Qin succeeded or not. Had he comprehended the Flame Rock Sovereign's consummate technique, the sharp spirit finger? Soon, Xiao Qin used the most direct action to give them the answer. Before everyone's eyes, Xiao Qin suddenly pointed to the sky as he stood in midair. With this finger, the intense electric light flickering on his body vanished, leaving nothing behind. His plain and unadorned body was now untainted by even a speck of dust. Rumble! In the next moment, intense rumbling resounded in the sky. The space of the entire Flame Rock Castle started to tremble endlessly. Accompanying the rumbling was a flash of the Emperor's might on Xiao Qin's body. The instant he pointed to the sky, a bona fide Emperor's might appeared. By the time Xiao Qin withdrew his finger, a huge hole had appeared in the sky. Black cracks spread out like a spiderweb around the hole. The many cultivators stared at this scene in a daze. Tearing space was something that only Emperor Wu could do. Xiao Chen really comprehended the sharp spirit finger. Otherwise, how could the attack of a consummation blue-robed emperor be comparable to Emperor Wu's? As Xiao Chen watched the hole in the sky slowly close, he revealed a satisfied smile on his face, which had remained silent for 3 days. Although this strike could not compare to the peak strike of the cycle banner, he relied on his own strength and did not rely on any external items. Furthermore, compared to the side effects and danger of the peak strike of the cycle banner, this sharp spirit finger was much more practical. Many thanks for Senior Flame, Rock Sovereign's pointers. This junior has successfully comprehended the sharp spirit finger that belongs to me. In the air, Xiao Qin turned around and bowed deeply to the Flame Rock Sovereign. A wide smile filled the Flame Rock Sovereign's face, grinning from ear to ear among the great bandits of the Black Sea. You are too polite. I only pointed out a path for you. You still relied on yourself to comprehend the sharp spirit finger in 10 days. The shock on the faces of the other great bandits of the Black Sea was no less than that of the ordinary cultivators. The Blood Shark Sovereign looked around and entered deep thought. After cultivating in seclusion for half a day, he comprehended the sharp spirit finger. It looks like the 5 days of painful attempts, day and night, have already allowed him to comprehend it. The Blood Shark Sovereign turned his head and exchanged glances with the other great bandits. Then they all nodded slightly. After comprehending the sharp spirit finger in 10 days, it was no wonder he could sweep through all the outstanding talents of the Kunlun continent. Then he displayed his splendor in the heavenly starry ocean's 4 seas hero gathering. It was not unjust for their descendants to lose to this youth. He truly lived up to his reputation as the descendant of the Qing Emperor. When Xiao Chun saw the people beside the Flame Rock Sovereign, he felt somewhat strange as well. Unexpectedly, his comprehension of the sharp spirit finger would cause so many horrifying experts to appear in the Black Sea. However, this was not the time to care about this. Xiao Chen wanted to test his sharp spirit finger against the Flame Rock Sovereign's true sharp spirit finger, to see which was stronger. Xiao Chen looked at the Flame Rock Sovereign and said respectfully, 10 days ago, Senior gently pointed at me and forced me to admit defeat. Would you give this junior another chance to redo this bet? That's right. The moment Xiao Chen said that, it immediately kicked up a huge wave. This Xiao Chen was very bold. He just comprehended the sharp spirit finger, and he immediately challenged the Flame Rock Sovereign. The Flame Rock Sovereign laughed loudly and happily accepted the challenge. I was just waiting for you to say that. I also want to see whether your sharp spirit finger is overdone or not. You are not worthy of the Flame Rock Sovereign's reputation. The Flame Rock Sovereign laughed loudly and took up a stance in the air, facing Xiao Qin from a distance. Based on the Flame Rock Sovereign's appearance, he was really prepared to accept Xiao Chen's challenge. The other great bandits of the Black Sea all revealed interested expressions. It was rare for someone like Xiao Chen to dare to challenge a senior after comprehending his consummate technique. He was indeed very courageous. The rules are the same as 10 days ago. You only have the cultivation of a consummation blue-robed emperor, and I will only use the strength of a half-step Emperor Wu, the Flame Rock Sovereign said with a smile. The Flame Rock Sovereign did not care about his reputation after winning or losing. In his heart, he hoped that Xiao Qin could defeat him more. Of course, this did not mean that the Flame Rock Sovereign would go easy on Xiao Qin. Instead, he would be even stricter. Xiao Qin nodded and said, "Good. This time, I absolutely will not lose." Haha. In that case, you will have to show your true ability. That was what you said the previous time. The Flame Rock Sovereign laughed softly. His mental state had already reached a very high level. Whoosh! The two did not say anything more. Before the eyes of all the cultivators in the city, They attacked at the same time in the instant the electric light flashed. The extraordinary thing about the sharp spirit finger was its speed. If anyone dilly-dallied, hoping to find the other party's weakness, they would basically lose if they were too slow. As such, the speed at which the two of them attacked was so fast that the spectating cultivators were unable to react in time. Suddenly, two clumps of bright light appeared in the dark sky, illuminating this place like the hottest noon. Their auras seemed to be extremely similar. The only differences were in some details and colors. Chapter 1250. The light on Xiao Chen's fingertip flickered with sparks of pure purple light. As for the light on the Flame Rock Sovereign's fingertip, it was a dazzling and eye-catching fiery red, like the sun was burning on the fingertip. Bang! The two sharp spirit fingers did not give anyone much time to think. From the moment the light appeared to the moment they clashed, it happened almost at the same time. The intense clash was like two planets crashing into each other. Long cracks appeared in space, spreading throughout the sky above the Flame Rock Castle. When the shock wave spread out, several weaker cultivators were knocked over, vomiting blood endlessly. If not for the formation laid on the Flame Rock Castle, all the buildings would have been destroyed in the instant they clashed, reduced to rubble. Sharp spirit finger versus sharp spirit finger. The two clumps of resplendent light left even faster than they came. When the light vanished, the victor was decided in the time it took for a spark to fly. Blood leaked out of a corner of Xiao Chen's lips as he retreated in the air. With every step he took, a thunderous roar resounded in the sky. Xiao Chen took 10 steps back before he stabilized his body. By the time he stabilized himself, the sky behind him was already filled with lightning and thunder, and dark clouds covered the sky. On the other hand, the Flame Rock Sovereign, who used only the strength of a half-step Emperor Wu, was in an even more miserable state than Xiao Chen. The instant the light vanished, the Flame Rock Sovereign went flying. Of course, the Flame Rock Sovereign had the golden body of Emperor Wu, which gave him great strength. Although he was knocked back, he was not injured. According to the rules of the bet, as long as Xiao Chen knocked back the Flame Rock Sovereign, he would win. Now, Xiao Chen had indeed exceeded his expectations, directly knocking back the Flame Rock Sovereign, gaining a suppressive advantage. Naturally, it was clear with one glance who won. The surroundings fell silent. Everyone was so shocked that they could not speak. Not only did Xiao Chen use 10 days to comprehend the sharp spirit finger, but he even used it to defeat the Flame Rock Sovereign. This was the principle of teaching a disciple and starving the master to death. Even the Flame Rock Sovereign himself could not react to this result. He could not understand how Xiao Chen won so thoroughly. However, a moment later, he came to a sudden realization. He stood in the air and laughed heartily. His laughter was filled with relief. Your sharp spirit finger is indeed not weak at all. I really did not expect it. I really did not expect you to use your primordial energy. Originally, the Flame Rock Sovereign had expected that the primordial energy would be too strong. If Xiao Chen used the sharp spirit finger and used primordial energy, he would definitely injure himself. She thought that Xiao Chen would take things one step at a time, first driving all the law energy and familiarizing himself with it before using the primordial energy. Who would have thought that Xiao Chen would reach the heavens in a single step, mobilizing all the power in his body? The power that Xiao Chen could bring out was already no weaker than Emperor Wu's, who was a first heaven martial emperor. Furthermore, the Flame Rock Sovereign was still using the half-step Emperor Wu's power. Naturally, he would lose so thoroughly. It was not that the Flame Rock Sovereign's sharp spirit finger was weaker than Xiao Chen's. Instead, the power that the Flame Rock Sovereign could bring out was weaker than Xiao Chen's. However, as a senior, the Flame Rock Sovereign did not feel embarrassed at all. Instead, he felt extremely gratified. Blood Shark Sovereign, didn't you say that my little friend would not be able to comprehend the sharp spirit finger in 10 days? Now, not only did he comprehend it, but it is even the complete version of the sharp spirit finger. What do you think? The Flame Rock Sovereign turned to the 12 great bandits of the Black Sea and smiled cockily. You old fogies, you cheered as well. What do you think now? All of you are slapping yourselves, right? The 12 great bandits of the Black Sea gritted their teeth at the cocky Flame Rock Sovereign. However, they could not rebut and could only let the Flame Rock Sovereign mock them. However, these people were all sovereign martial emperors. Their mental states were much stronger than that of regular cultivators. Naturally, their breadth of mind was incomparable. After a while, the Blood Shark Sovereign sighed and said, "The descendants of the Qing Emperor are indeed very graceful. This old man is truly convinced this time." After saying that, the Blood Shark Sovereign flew forward and handed an engraved card to Shao Qin. He said, "Little friend, if you have time, you can come to my Blood Fiend Mountain Manor. At that time, this old man will definitely receive you personally." When the top great bandit of the Black Sea handed over an invitation, Shao Qin felt somewhat overwhelmed by the favor. In this world where the strong reigned supreme, a consummation blue-robed emperor like him could get a sovereign martial emperor to send him an invitation so politely. This was simply unimaginable. After receiving the engraved card, Shao Qin said, "Many thanks for Senior's favor. If I have time, I will definitely pay you a visit." With the Blood Shark Sovereign taking the lead, the other great bandits of the Black Sea reacted at the same time. They all put on smiling faces and politely handed over an engraved card to Shao Qin, inviting him to their mountain manor's courtyards when he had time. This is unreasonable. The 13 great bandits of the Black Sea actually sent an invitation to Shao Qin at the same time. Don't be jealous. If you can comprehend the sharp spirit finger in 10 days and defeat the Flame Rock Sovereign's sharp spirit finger, you will probably receive the same treatment. It is too hard not to be jealous. With these 13 engraved cards, Shao Qin will be able to move unhindered throughout the entire Black Sea. It is not just the Black Sea. It would not be too exaggerated for him to move unhindered throughout the entire oceanic world. As the great bandits of the Black Sea took out their engraved cards one after another, inviting Shao Qin, all the cultivators in Dark City revealed envious, jealous, and hateful expressions. In the history of the Black Sea, when had 13 great bandits ever sent an invitation to one person at the same time? The scene before Shao Qin's eyes would definitely become a legend. If looks could kill, Shao Qin would have died several times over under the gazes of these tens of thousands of people. After all the great bandits left, the Flame Rock Sovereign walked over with a smile. Then he patted Shao Qin's shoulder and said, "Little friend, you helped me gain face this time. When those old fogies came in, they were all very cowardly. I have not seen them so obedient in a long time. They did not even dare to let out a fart after being scolded." Shao Qin smiled. It looked like the fiery tempers of the two brothers, Ba Tu and Ba Yan, must have come from the Flame Rock Sovereign. Their unruliness was carved from the same mold. Then the Flame Rock Sovereign looked at the engraved cards in Shao Qin's hand. Then he withdrew his smile and said seriously, "After you finish my special training, you must go to the other great bandits. Don't ever underestimate these engraved cards." Shao Qin's expression turned serious. After thinking about it, he understood. As a descendant of the Qing Emperor, Shao Qin understood how horrifying his enemies were during the king conferral ceremony. 13 engraved cards represented 13 sovereign martial emperors, representing that the entire Black Sea stood on Shao Qin's side. It went without saying how powerful this force was when it was gathered into a ball. On this night, Shao Qin used his unparalleled elegance to subdue the 13 great bandits of the Black Sea, obtaining a strong helper for himself. Absolute elegance, unparalleled in the world. Shao Qin solemnly put away the 12 engraved cards and thanked the Flame Rock Sovereign again. Then he asked, "Senior, When will you start teaching me how to use primordial energy? There's no rush. We'll talk about it after daybreak. You should rest well first, the Flame Rock Sovereign said casually as he waved his hand. 10 days of comprehending Tao did indeed tire him somewhat. Xiao Chen nodded and landed in his courtyard with a few flashes. Inside his bedroom, Xiao Chen took out the primordial pill that the Thunder King gave him. Then he revealed a rueful expression. The Flame Rock Sovereign's favor was too great. Xiao Chen did not know when he could repay it. There was also Ao Jiao. If not for little Ao Jiao, the Flame Rock Sovereign would not be so close to Xiao Chen. It was also because of Ao Jiao that the Flame Rock Sovereign did not fulfill his bet and handed the primordial pill to Xiao Chen. Xiao Chen made another bet with the Flame Rock Sovereign. Aside from verifying his sharp spirit finger, he also wanted to let himself obtain this primordial pill in a more logical manner. Huang Dang! Just as Xiao Chen was thinking about Ao Jiao, the windows opened. Then, Ao Jiao's figure flashed, and she arrived in the bedroom. The instant the windows opened, gentle moonlight landed on Ao Jiao, bathing her in a refreshing and refined aura. This stunned Xiao Chen slightly. Unexpectedly, Ao Jiao could show such a moving scene. Idiot Master, what are you thinking about? Ao Jiao asked with a smile as she stood on the study table. Aside from Xiao Chen, the person who was the happiest about Xiao Chen being able to comprehend the sharp spirit finger and gain the favor of the 13 great bandits of the Black Sea was naturally Ao Jiao. Xiao Chen smiled faintly and did not answer Ao Jiao. He was eloquent, but he was not good at lying to people he was familiar with. There were some things that would cause misunderstandings if he said them, so there was no need to say them. Seeing that Xiao Chen did not answer, Ao Jiao guessed some things in her heart. She did not mind, so she asked casually, "We will be returning to Heavenly Star Island soon. Do you have any plans?" Xiao Chen answered honestly, "I've thought about this long ago. After I return, I plan to erect the Dragon's Gate's mountain tablet and announce it to the world, officially establishing the Dragon's Gate." Isn't that a little too fast? Ao Jiao was startled. Although she knew that this was a plan that Xiao Chen had made long ago, she had not expected it to be so rushed. All along, she felt that Xiao Chen would officially establish the Dragon's Gate after he advanced to Martial Emperor. Xiao Chen stood up and put away the primordial pills. Then he shook his head and said, "It is not really fast. Today, I received these 12 engraved cards, which further solidified my plan. There are some things that I have to do. Doing it sooner or later makes no difference." There was another important reason. Before Xiao Chen advanced to Martial Emperor, he needed to return to the Sky Dome realm. What identity should he return with? Of course, it would be best if he returned as the Dragon's Gate sect master. That way, he could resolve the knot in his father's heart. Just as the two discussed the details of formally establishing the Dragon's Gate, Xiao Chen suddenly froze. Suddenly, Xiao Chen's expression froze, revealing a pained expression. Ao Jiao asked doubtfully, "What's wrong?" "Someone invaded my sea of consciousness. Don't worry." After Xiao Chen said that, he quickly closed his eyes and sat cross-legged on the bed, feeling unprecedentedly nervous. Ao Jiao watched from the side, finding it somewhat strange. However, she could not do anything to help, so she could only worry helplessly. A strong energy in Xiao Chen's sea of consciousness entered the depths of his mind without any fear. It was like it wanted to dig out all his secrets. Many scenes flashed in Xiao Chen's mind. However, the scene stopped at the Sky Dome realm, the Heavenly Saber Pavilion's Qingyan Peak, where Xiao Chen and Lu Viwei interacted. The powerful mental energy went berserk, trying to destroy all the memories in his mind. "Who is it? Are you trying to turn me into an idiot, killing me invisibly? Dream on." Xiao Chen raged in his heart. All the mental energy in his sea of consciousness surged, forming a divine wall to block that extremely tyrannical mental energy. Chapter 1251. Bang, bang, bang. That extremely tyrannical mental energy was like a heavy punch, shattering all the walls of mental energy. Oh no, this mental energy is too tyrannical. The person who made a move was definitely a prime. Furthermore, it was the kind that specialized in mental energy. Otherwise, Xiao Chen would not have been so defenseless. Xiao Chen's mental energy had already condensed into magic energy. It was not something that an ordinary Emperor Wu could casually barge in. Unable to resist at all, the mental energy wall that Xiao Chen condensed crumbled like rotten wood, easily destroying it. I'll fight it out with you. Xiao Chen gave up on defending and gathered the last of his mental energy. His entire sea of consciousness surged. The surging magic energy also condensed into a fist light and punched out. At the crucial moment, just as the fist lights were about to clash, Xiao Chen's blue dragon martial spirit suddenly startled awake. It directly entered his sea of consciousness and attached itself to Xiao Chen's mental energy, fist light. When the other party's mental energy, fist light, sensed the appearance of the blue dragon martial spirit, it was clearly stunned, pausing for a moment. When the other party saw Xiao Chen's azure fist light approaching, it retreated despite holding the absolute advantage. However, everything returned to normal. Xiao Chen opened his eyes, and blood leaked out of a corner of his lips. He felt dizzy and in incredible pain. Furthermore, this pain came from the soul. No matter how strong his physical body was, he could not resist it. Xiao Chen, what's wrong? Ao Jiao asked out of concern as she rushed over and supported Xiao Chen. Xiao Chen wiped off the blood at the corner of his lips and said, Emperor Forsaken personally made a move against me. Being a prime and cultivating mental energy, the range of people who could make a move against Xiao Chen immediately narrowed down. Aside from this person, no one else in the entire Kunlun realm could have such a strong mental energy. There was absolutely no one else with such a strong mental energy, able to kill someone from millions of kilometers away. Furthermore, by doing so, it would be hard to leave behind any evidence and give others something to use against him. This group of people is really desperate. They are too shameless. Ao Jiao said with distress. Xiao Chen comforted Ao Jiao with a smile. Don't worry, after this failure, he won't dare to make a move again. Since a supreme being had failed once, he naturally did not have the face to make a second attempt. However, for some unknown reason, Xiao Chen still felt a shadow in his heart. Early the next morning, the Flame Rock Castle had already regained its peace and quiet. All the cultivators who were alarmed by Xiao Chen's comprehension had already left. The Flame Rock Sovereign frowned the moment he saw Xiao Chen. What's wrong? Given your physical body, you should have recovered from all your injuries by now. Why is your spirit still so weak? Xiao Chen could not hide anything from the Flame Rock Sovereign, so he honestly recounted what happened the previous night. You guessed right. It should be Emperor Forsaken. I once interacted with several deity race Emperor Wu. They are all capable of this. The Flame Rock Sovereign confirmed Xiao Chen's guess. Then he continued, someone must have spread the news of the 13 great bandits of the Black Sea giving you the engraved medallion last night, driving this group of people into desperation. Xiao Chen's expression did not change much. He said calmly, Senior, please teach me how to cultivate primordial energy. The Flame Rock Sovereign was startled. He did not see any rage or hatred in Xiao Chen's eyes. Instead, Xiao Chen calmly stated his request. You're really able to keep your composure. If I were as young as you, I would have flown into a rage long ago. Who knows, I might even kill a few deity race cultivators to vent my anger. Xiao Chen smiled and asked, Is there any use? The Flame Rock Sovereign was slightly stunned. Then he said, Indeed, there is no use. He is a prime who cleared a 9th heavenly lightning tribulation. What is the point of me doing all this? All I need to do is live properly, live until I can deal a fatal blow to him and wash away my humiliation. I need to prevent him from messing up my plans. Xiao Chen's gaze was as calm as still water. However, if one peered through that deep water, one would see the hatred hidden in the depths. At the king conferral ceremony, Emperor Forsaken had tried to cripple Xiao Chen on the spot, showing no mercy at all. Xiao Chen remembered Dugu Ao's furious roars in the human-demon paradise like it was still fresh in his mind, something that he would never forget. At this point, the hatred between Xiao Chen and Emperor Forsaken could no longer be resolved. Hatred was hard to erase. Only killing could end it. What Xiao Chen needed to do was to continuously grow stronger, trampling on all his enemies on the Emperor's road. The Flame Rock Sovereign revealed a smile on his face. Since ancient times, no one's Emperor's road has been as arduous as yours. I look forward to the day you advance to Martial Emperor. When the lesson on cultivating primordial energy started, the Flame Rock Sovereign did not immediately teach Xiao Chen. Instead, he explained the primordial energy that the various martial emperors possessed. The cultivation of primordial energy is something that every Emperor Wu has to go through. Normally speaking, a first Heaven Emperor Wu can condense 100 strands of primordial energy. A second Heaven Emperor Wu can condense 200 strands of primordial energy. And a third Heaven Emperor Wu can condense 300 strands of primordial energy. Based on this, the number increases exponentially. At the 9th heaven, a sovereign martial emperor can condense 900 strands of primordial energy. With a rough comparison, one could tell that a sovereign Emperor Wu of the 9th heaven was 9 times stronger than a first heaven Emperor Wu. In reality, in a true battle, it would be more than 9 times stronger. Even 100 first heaven Emperor Wu would not be enough to kill a sovereign martial emperor. The difference between the two could no longer be made up for with numbers. With each lightning tribulation, the improvement that Emperor Wu received was not limited to just the physical body. Primordial energy would also undergo a transformation and experience a great leap forward. With such a comparison, Xiao Chen felt that his 10 strands of primordial energy were insufficient before a sovereign martial emperor. The Flame Rock Sovereign continued, "What do you think my purpose in telling you all this?" Clearly, the Flame Rock Sovereign would not waste time explaining something unimportant. It had to be closely related to Xiao Chen's cultivation. After thinking for a while, Xiao Chen came to an answer. However, after being tricked by the Flame Rock Sovereign once, he was more cautious. Xiao Chen probed. Senior's meaning should be to tell me why different levels of Emperor Wu can refine different amounts of primordial energy. The answer should be in the physical body. After that, Senior will give me some pointers based on the strength of my physical body, helping me cultivate to the limit of primordial energy that my physical body can endure. The Flame Rock Sovereign revealed a gratified smile. It is really easy to deal with smart people. That's right. This is the principle. The strength of your physical body has already reached the level of a first Heaven Emperor Wu's golden body. That is enough to refine 100 strands of primordial energy. Fortunately, the Flame Rock Sovereign did not trick him this time. Xiao Chen heaved a sigh of relief. At the same time, he had some questions that he wanted to ask. Senior, many people did not cultivate their physical bodies before advancing to Martial Emperor. After advancing to Emperor Wu, they would also possess the golden body of Emperor Wu. In that case, wouldn't all the suffering that cultivators of the physical body like me suffered before advancing to Martial Emperor be for nothing? Xiao Chen had personally experienced how painful the cultivation of the physical body was. If not for cultivating the physical body blindly and trying to stand out among those of the same cultivation realm, Xiao Chen would not have ended up in such a state, needing to advance to Martial Emperor in 5 years. Actually, this problem had troubled Xiao Chen for a long time, something he could not understand. The Flame Rock Sovereign smiled and said, "If you think that way, then you are gravely mistaken. Pay attention to what I said earlier. I added a phrase. Generally speaking, Xiao Chen was very sharp. The moment the Flame Rock Sovereign mentioned it, he immediately thought of the phrase. That's right. However, there are some people who are different. I'm talking about you cultivators of the physical body. The heavens have always been fair. The more suffering one suffers, the more benefits one will obtain. Whether it is you cultivators of the physical body or other cultivators, this principle is the same. The Flame Rock Sovereign continued. After you advance to Emperor Wu, you will naturally understand this principle. For now, there is no need for you to consider this. Take out the primordial pills that I gave you. I'll teach you how to refine these medicinal pills. Don't I just need to swallow the medicinal pills? Could there be some other way to refine them? Xiao Chen could not understand, so he took out the primordial pills. The Flame Rock Sovereign received the bottle and laughed loudly. If you really swallow them, you will waste most of the medicinal energy in these primordial pills. What should I do? The Flame Rock Sovereign did not rush to explain. His expression uncharacteristically turned stern. I once told you that you will not learn any of the 3 techniques for free, as these are things that only Emperor Wu can learn in the first place. Cultivating as a consummation blue-robed emperor is going against the heavens. The suffering you will suffer is unavoidable. Even if you cultivate the sharp spirit finger according to my method, it will still be extraordinarily painful. What I want to say is that my cultivation of primordial energy is also boundlessly tyrannical and extremely dangerous, not to mention the pain. Xiao Chen said after some thought, Seniors should understand my determination to comprehend the sharp spirit finger. As long as it can increase my strength, I am willing to accept any danger. All right, bring me the saber. The Flame Rock Sovereign's face sank as he said something that confused everyone. Xiao Chen did as he was told. Without any hesitation, he took out a sharp short saber from the universe ring. Puchi! The Flame Rock Sovereign directly stabbed with his saber. In the hands of the Flame Rock Sovereign, Xiao Chen's half-step golden body was like paper. With one slash, a finger-sized hole appeared and fresh blood gushed out. Don't let your wounds heal. With your great perfection blue-robed emperor cultivation base, if you want to obtain the primordial energy that only First Heaven Emperor Wu can cultivate, this is only the first step. The Flame Rock Sovereign said expressionlessly with a cold expression. Xiao Chen clenched his teeth, letting the blood flow freely as he endured the torturous pain. The Flame Rock Sovereign took out a primordial pill and flicked his finger, sending the medicinal pill into the cave. Xiao Chen's blood immediately greedily absorbed the primordial energy in the medicinal pill. This explosive energy instantly filled his body, giving him a sense of boundless power. The primordial energy in the primordial pill was several times more than what Xiao Chen absorbed when he opened the door of space and time. This was equivalent to 10 years of cultivation. Xiao Chen had not reached the level of the physical body of Emperor Wu's golden body. This explosive energy tested his physical body to the extreme. The Flame Rock Sovereign did not say anything. He stabbed the saber at Xiao Chen's chest again before putting in a second primordial pill. Third strike, fourth strike, fifth strike. After the Flame Rock Sovereign stabbed 9 times in a row, he stopped. Chapter 1252. Every stab was so bloody that no one could bear to look at it. After the 9th stab, Lin Fan's eyes widened. After the 9 stabs, 9 thumb-sized wounds surrounded Xiao Chen's heart, forming an average-sized circle. Dong! 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 Xiao Chen's heart pounded rhythmically. Every time it beat, his body absorbed a vast amount of primordial energy. Xiao Chen's physical body could explode at any moment. What was the meaning of playing with the heartbeat? Xiao Chen's current state vividly displayed this saying. Although Xiao Chen already did his best to absorb this primordial energy into his heart of an emperor, it was still far from enough. If the Flame Rock Sovereign did not take some measures, Shao Chun would explode into pieces in a short while. There was still one last primordial pill in the jade bottle. However, the Flame Rock Sovereign did not use it. After closing the jade bottle, he quickly tapped Shao Chen's chest with one hand. Light flickered on the tip of the Flame Rock Sovereign's finger. With every tap, a beam of light soared into the sky from Shao Chen's body. After tapping 9 times, a miniature formation appeared on Shao Chen's chest, slowly circulating. At the same time, a formation appeared under Shao Chen's feet. Like the 9 beams of light, there was a formation in the air. This formation is called the 9 Revolution Universe Origin Formation. In the past, immortals used it to temper their immortal war body. After I obtained it, I made some changes to it. Firstly, it can maintain your physical body, preventing it from exploding from the primordial pill's medicinal energy. Secondly, it can amplify the medicinal energy. With every revolution of the 9 Revolution Universe Origin Formation, the primordial energy will increase by half. The Flame Rock Sovereign withdrew his hand, revealing a fatigued expression. This formation represents heaven, earth, and man. The 3 links are interconnected, and you cannot do without any of them. If you cannot endure the pain from the medicinal energy and give up halfway, the formation on your chest will be destroyed. The instant the formation loses balance, you will turn to ashes as well. Shao Chen smiled bitterly in his heart. The intense pain prevented him from speaking. If he could speak, he would definitely curse out loud. The Flame Rock Sovereign had forced him into a dead end. Shao Chen had not expected the Flame Rock Sovereign's cultivation method to be so dangerous. The Flame Rock Sovereign smiled faintly and said, "I'll go and drink first. Little friend, you have to do your best and hold on. Otherwise, this Flame Rock Castle that has been passed down for thousands of years will be destroyed along with you." The Flame Rock Sovereign forced a smile and quickly left, like he was dodging a human bomb. This angered Shao Chen to the point of wanting to rush out and kick the Flame Rock Sovereign. The Flame Rock Sovereign, who appeared to have left easily, had not actually gone far. He and Ao Jiao drank wine on a tall building. As long as the two turned their heads slightly, they would see Shao Chen seated cross-legged on the ground. "Shao Ba, aren't you being too harsh on Shao Chen?" Ao Jiao said worriedly as she looked at the wound on Shao Chen's chest that had not healed yet and listened to his thumping heart. Shao Chen's skin had already split open. Blood seeped out and dyed his white robe scarlet from the inside out. Veins bulged on Shao Chen's forehead, and blood covered his face. Who knew what kind of pain he was enduring? The Flame Rock Sovereign said sullenly he has no choice but to be more ruthless. He is a consummation blue-robed emperor. If he wants to condense 100 strands of primordial energy, even if he has the primordial pill, the half-step golden body, and my 9 Revolution Universe Origin Formation, he will have to gamble with his life. The heaven-defying path is not dangerous at all, so it cannot be considered heaven-defying. Ao Jiao put down her wine cup and frowned slightly. Please don't let anything happen to him. Dancing on the edge of a knife is really worrying. The Flame Rock Sovereign smiled and said, "Don't worry. Given his tenacity, he will be able to endure it. If it really surpasses what he cannot accomplish, I will not force him into a dead end." Ao Jiao smiled faintly and turned her head. "Shao Ba, many thanks to you this time. Let me offer you a toast on behalf of Shao Chen." The Flame Rock Sovereign smiled embarrassedly and said, "Elder sister Ao Jiao, why are you being so polite with me? He inherited the treasures that the Thunder King left behind. Now that you ask me for help, how could I possibly reject? Without you and without the Thunder King, how could there be the current Flame Rock Sovereign? Furthermore, this little fellow is indeed a charming treasure. His potential has not been dug out yet. Perhaps I might have to seek guidance from him in the future." Shao Chen guessed that the Flame Rock Sovereign's willingness to teach him had a lot to do with Ao Jiao. However, he did not guess that Ao Jiao personally asked the Flame Rock Sovereign for his sake. After thinking about it carefully, one could understand. Without a deep connection, which Sovereign Martial Emperor would teach an outsider their consummate technique that they did not pass on. Furthermore, they would waste 1 month to teach Xiao Qin personally. No one in the world would be nice to you for no reason. The setting sun shone on the tall building, dyeing Ao Jiao's youthful face red. She put down her wine cup and looked at Xiao Chen with a melancholic expression. She muttered to herself, "Little Ao Jiao, it is useless. I can only help you up to this point. Don't. 3 days later, Xiao Chen's heartbeat finally slowed down. However, when it slowed down, the primordial energy it carried became even more vast and heavy. It was like an ancient divine bell, beating every time it beat, shocking everyone. Every time it beat, the entire Flame Rock Castle trembled. However, this time, the Flame Rock Sovereign had the foresight to lay a formation outside the castle, isolating all sound. Otherwise, with the sound of Xiao Chen's heartbeat resounding in the sky like a divine bell, it would definitely attract all the cultivators in Dark City. Up in the tall building, the Flame Rock Sovereign's expression relaxed. He said to Ao Jiao, his situation has already stabilized. Even if he gives up now, there will not be any danger of his body exploding. It all depends on how much he can obtain in the end. Joy flashed on Ao Jiao's face. What do you mean? The Flame Rock Sovereign explained. This 9-revolution universe origin formation relies on the cultivator's talent. In the most perfect situation, it can use 9 primordial pills to form 90 strands of primordial energy. Ao Jiao found it strange. She said, "I know about the primordial pill. Although it is hard to refine and extremely rare in the Kunlun realm, it should not have such a horrifying effect, right? Even so, the medicinal effect shouldn't be so terrifying, right? A single pill can form a strand of primordial energy." The Flame Rock Sovereign smiled and said, "Elder Sister Ao Jiao, you might not know about this. My 9-revolution universe origin formation is a formation passed down from the Immortal epoch. It can amplify the medicinal energy. A skilled formation master can double the medicinal energy with each cycle. After layering it 9 times, it will reach an astronomical number. This is just a simplified version of the 9-revolution universe origin formation. It is not that horrifying. However, it can still increase the medicinal energy by 81 times. Do you still think I'm exaggerating?" Ao Jiao said after some thought, 81 times, that is more than 700 primordial pills. Given that, it is indeed not an exaggeration. However, in the end, it still depends on his luck. If he is not determined enough, it would not be strange for him to condense only 10 strands of primordial energy, the Flame Rock Sovereign said after some thought. Ao Jiao asked, "How much primordial energy do you think Xiao Qin can condense in the end?" The Flame Rock Sovereign thought for a while before voicing his opinion. Right now, for every day he persists, he can obtain 10 strands of primordial energy. I estimate that he can persist for another 5 days and finally condense 60 strands of primordial energy. Ao Jiao said indifferently, "I feel that he can persist for 9 days. Before he completely absorbs the medicinal energy, he will not stop." The Flame Rock Sovereign said, "That's impossible. Could it be that he has experienced something even more painful than this?" Ao Jiao smiled and did not say anything. Xiao Qin had indeed experienced it before. The lightning tribulation in the Sky Dome realm was much more painful than this. 5 days passed in a flash. The time that the Flame Rock Sovereign estimated for Xiao Qin was up. However, Xiao Qin still showed no signs of stopping. "How did this fellow do it?" the Flame Rock Sovereign exclaimed in shock. Under the triple formation of heaven, earth, and man, Xiao Chen's current aura was already so surging that it was terrifying. A faint emperor's might spread behind Shao Qin, lingering for a long time, suppressing him layer by layer. The flame rock sovereign's eyes lit up. Peering through the layers of light, he saw that Shao Qin had already condensed 60 strands of primordial energy. Every strand of primordial energy was incredibly dense, like a true dragon. The vast and forceful primordial energy swam in Shao Qin's heart of an emperor, roaring endlessly along with his heartbeat. This fellow actually didn't forget to refine the primordial energy while he was condensing it. The shock in the flame rock sovereign's heart could not be described with words. Given this, when the medicinal pill finished absorbing the primordial energy, Shao Qin would be able to completely control the primordial energy. The sun rose and set. Another 3 days passed. The emperor's might behind Shao Qin piled up. It was already boundlessly heavy, nearly turning solid. The effects of the medicinal pill are over. It's time to open your eyes, right? The flame rock sovereign muttered. When he saw the emperor's might behind Shao Qin, the flame rock sovereign sighed in his heart. He had personally created a miracle. The consummation blue-robed emperor had cultivated 100 strands of primordial energy. When Shao Qin opened his eyes, it would be like a new Emperor Wu was born. Right after the flame rock sovereign spoke, Shao Qin suddenly opened his eyes, and the accumulated emperor's might behind him burst out. Bang! The emperor's might, which had been suppressed for a long time, soared into the sky like a rainbow, instantly shattering the formation that the flame rock sovereign laid. Then it tore through the clouds and turned into colorful clouds spreading out, encasing the entire dark city. Colorful light spread out, and emperor's might spread everywhere. The many cultivators in Dark City looked up, feeling shocked in their hearts. Which lucky person cleared the great tribulation of wind and fire and advanced to martial emperor? Only someone who had just advanced to emperor would appear, unable to control the emperor's might and causing colorful clouds to fill the sky. However, after thinking about it, they felt that this was impossible. The great tribulation of wind and fire caused such a huge commotion. How could there be no sign at all? All of this was something that only the 13 great bandits of Dark City were able to guess at. At the same time, they revealed smiles on their faces. They had not given the wrong, engraved medallion back then. That person was worthy of their support. Inside the Flame Rock Castle, Shao Qin drifted over. He smiled and said, "Senior, I did not let you down. I successfully endured it." The Flame Rock Sovereign smiled and said, "Congratulations. However, I'm afraid that I cannot teach you the final technique." Feeling curious, Shao Qin asked, "Why?" The Flame Rock Sovereign said helplessly, "Originally, I was preparing to simulate a great tribulation of wind and fire to let you experience it in advance. However, you are growing too fast, far surpassing my expectations. I can no longer simulate your great tribulation of wind and fire. If I let you clear it easily, it will only mislead you. It will only mislead you and will not have any effect at all. Instead, it will be harmful." Chapter 1253. This stunned Shao Qin. This answer made him feel somewhat nervous. The Flame Rock Sovereign smiled and said, "During this period, go and pay a visit to the other great bandits. At the same time, stabilize your cultivation. After that, return to Heavenly Star Island. When the Dragon's Gate is unveiled, don't forget to send me an invitation." It looked like Ao Jiao had already told the Flame Rock Sovereign his plan. Being able to get the Flame Rock Sovereign to come and help establish the Dragon's Gate, Shao Qin felt more confident. Shao Qin performed a cupped fist salute and said, "I will never forget Senior's kindness." The Flame Rock Sovereign looked at Ao Jiao, who was drinking alone on the tall building. Then he sighed softly. "Little friend, I'll say this very sincerely. Whether you repay this kindness or not, I do not mind. If you have the heart, take good care of Ao Jiao and investigate the cause of Big Brother Sang Mu's death. Right now, you have overwhelming luck. With the Thunder King standing behind you, there are some things that are much safer for you to do than for me." Xiaoqin nodded and said, "Don't worry. Even if Senior did not mention this, I would do it." The process of visiting the 13 Great Bandits went smoothly. These sovereign martial emperors had already been convinced by Xiao Chen's grace in the first place. After meeting and chatting, they felt even more satisfied. Xiao Chen always held respect for senior experts and would not appear boundlessly arrogant. "If others respect me, I will respect them tenfold." This had always been Xiao Chen's motto. After the visit ended, Xiao Chen truly formed a connection with these great bandits. Since ancient times, only Xiao Chen had managed to gain the friendship of these 13 great bandits at the same time. After dealing with the matter of the Black Sea, Xiao Chen was eager to return, wishing that he could rush to Heavenly Star Island immediately. For flood dragons pulled the war chariot, rushing through the clouds at lightning-fast speed, heading for Heavenly Star Island. Actually, right now, Xiao Chen's personal speed was even faster than the flood dragon war chariot. However, he did not have a strong physique like the flood dragons, able to maintain his speed without slowing down. In terms of long-distance travel, the flood dragon war chariot was more suitable. It would also be more efficient. Inside the war chariot, Xiao Chen did not neglect his cultivation. Now, Xiao Chen had 100 strands of primordial energy, a half-step golden body, and grasped the instant of glory, the 1,000-year hegemony establishment, and the subduing dragon profound slash, 3 medial-grade profound martial techniques. Furthermore, he had practiced all of them to small perfection. What was even more frantic was his ultimate skill, the telepathic finger, which could instantly mobilize all his strength. If Xiao Chen were to face Emperor Wu of the First Heaven with such strength, he would be able to fight against Emperor Wu of the First Heaven even without using the cycle banner. If Xiao Chen used the cycle banner, he would be able to obtain victory easily. He would not have to put in as much effort as he did against Old Hong. As for Emperor Wu, who was at the second layer of heaven, Xiao Chen still didn't know much about him, so it wasn't appropriate for him to make a judgment. However, if he wanted to retreat, the other party shouldn't be able to do anything to him. Right now, I still have 3 paths to raise my strength. The first is my peak will of thunder. The second is my 70% comprehended saber soul. The third is the breakthrough of the purple thunder divine incantation. Xiao Chen analyzed calmly. None of the 3 paths was easy. The peak will of thunder required one to materialize the illusory before one could condense an innate thunder crystal. After raising the saber soul to 100% comprehension and forming his own saber domain, it would be as difficult as ascending to heaven. For the purple thunder divine incantation to break through to the 7th layer, Xiao Chen would need to undergo another lightning tribulation before he could advance to the 8th layer. Clearly, these 3 paths could not be taken at the same time. They had to be done one at a time of priority, along the way to Heavenly Star Island. Aside from stabilizing his cultivation and absorbing primordial energy at a fixed time every day, Xiao Chen pondered this problem. When he was only 3 days away from Heavenly Star Island, Xiao Chen made his decision to raise his saber soul first. After all, in the end, he was a bladesman. Before advancing to Martial Emperor, he had to form his own saber domain. Now that Xiao Chen's cultivation of his saber soul had reached the later stages, he could only rely on peak-grade demon fiend rocks if he wanted to speed it up. After he returned to Heavenly Star Island, he would ask the Green Dragon Chamber of Commerce to keep an eye on this. 3 days passed in the blink of an eye. When Ao Jiao told Xiao Chen that Heavenly Star Island was within sight, Xiao Chen stopped cultivating and walked out of the chariot. Xiao Chen's vision immediately widened. The familiar sea region appeared before him. He could see the silhouette of Heavenly Star Island with his naked eye. He could already see the closest subsidiary islands clearly. Now, Heavenly Star Island already controlled all the subsidiary islands in the sea region. No one else dared to interfere. Before Shao Chen left, he forced back the purple-clad Marquis, a greater heavenly Emperor Wu. This spread the fame of Heavenly Star Island throughout the Western Sea. Anyone who wanted to target Heavenly Star Island would have to weigh themselves first. Otherwise, they would not be able to get anything good out of it. As Shao Chen got closer, he could already see the buildings on Heavenly Star Island with his naked eye. The first thing that entered his eyes was a vast and majestic city. It looked like a huge true dragon, coiled above the pirates. Hence, the existence of the city fixed the geomancy of the surroundings. All the luck gathered and encased Heavenly Star Island. Indistinct dragon chi could be seen moving in and out of the clouds above Heavenly Star Island. It looked extraordinary. Vaguely, this city had the air of a holy city. It was not much inferior to the lunar palace's Bright Moon City. The majestic city gates had the words Heaven Dragon City written on them. Armored guards stood on the city walls, all of them wearing the same uniform. Shao Chen looked carefully and saw that the uniform was the uniform of the deceased Dragon's Gate. However, it lacked the symbol of the Dragon's Gate. Immortal must have made it. As Shao Chen stood in the air and looked at this majestic city, he felt somewhat shocked. Unexpectedly, in a short 1 year, Immortal had helped him build up the city. She had built such a huge city on the rubble of that day's destruction. Immortal was an extraordinary girl who excelled in zither, chess, calligraphy, medicine, divination, refining, and brewing. She had truly helped him a lot. Without the azure robe token issued by the city lord's residence, you are not allowed to fly into the city. If you do not have it, I hope that the few of you will enter through the city gates. If you try to barge in, we will activate the protective formation. Just as Shao Chen was about to fly down from the clouds and enter the city, the scene above the city gates made him frown slightly. A group of black-clad people wearing conical bamboo hats wanted to barge into the city walls and fly in. Shao Chen knew that most holy cities had such a rule. If one was not an honored guest, one could not fly around the city. This was the case in Bright Moon City and Dark City, which Shao Chen had been to before. These people knew that the Heaven Dragon City had such a rule, but they still dared to barge in. It was very likely that they were here to cause trouble. Shao Chen squinted his eyes and looked over. As he expected, the leader of the group was a half-step Emperor Wu, and the people behind him were all blue-robed emperors of different cultivation realms. So powerful! Which force sent this team? Shao Chen thought to himself, what a joke! We are from the West Ocean Dragon Palace. What rules do we have to follow in your little Heaven Dragon City? Get out of the way and don't block our way into the city. Otherwise, don't blame us for being impolite. The black-clad old man in the lead sneered and took off his conical bamboo hat, revealing the unique fiery red dragon robe of the West Ocean Dragon Palace. The 4 people behind him also took off their conical bamboo hats at the same time to show their identities. So that is the case. Shao Chen now understood. Only the overlord of the Western Sea, the Western Sea Dragon Palace, could send such a strong team. The scene on the city walls immediately caused a commotion. Several cultivators, lining up to enter the city, stopped to watch. Interesting. This is the 8th time the Western Sea Dragon Palace has sent people to cause trouble. It can't be helped. Who asked Heavenly Star Island to develop too fast? The few large-scale auctions they held completely overshadowed the Western Sea Dragon Palace's limelight. Now, when people mention the Heavenly Starry Ocean or the Western Sea, the first place that comes to mind is Heavenly Star Island. The Western Sea Dragon Palace's reputation is completely suppressed. It is not just the auctions. The secret treasures, wine, and armor produced by Heavenly Star Island are all excellent. It would be hard for such a city not to prosper. The rise of Heavenly Star Island is clear for all to see. The Western Sea Dragon Palace is really desperate this time. To think that they are so direct in their suppression. I wonder how Heavenly Star City will deal with this. I heard that they endured the previous few times. The discussions at the city gates gave Xiao Chen a rough understanding of the situation. Xiao Chen did not show much surprise on his face. It was not strange for an old overlord to suppress a rising faction that could threaten him. But of all the things she shouldn't have done, she shouldn't have provoked him. The protective formation? Who are you trying to scare? If you really dare to activate it, it means that you are trying to start a war. At that time, I, the Western Sea Dragon King, will lead the 7 heroes of the dragon and flatten your heavenly star island in minutes. The black-clad old man leading the group shouted coldly. The leading black-clad old man shouted coldly. This made the soldiers guarding the city feel very dissatisfied, but they could do nothing about it. Scram! Just an insignificant Heaven Dragon city, and you dare to put on such airs? Do you really think that you are a holy city? The black-clad man directly sent out a palm strike and knocked back the soldiers in front of him. These soldiers were only martial monarchs. The captain was only a martial sage. Without activating the protective formation, he was like an ant to this half-step Emperor Wu. How could the soldiers block such a sudden attack? They were severely injured and fell off the city. Seeing that the Western Sea Divine Dragon Palaces, people actually made a move, the expressions of the people watching at the city gates all changed. These Western Sea Divine Dragon Palace elders were too overboard to attack the soldiers guarding the city. What status did these people have? They were Divine Dragon Palace elders, people with high authority. As for the soldiers guarding the city, they were just the lowest level people of Heavenly Star Island. You can't even withstand a single strike. With just this bit of strength, you dare to block our way? The black-clad old man smiled coldly. Then he led the 4 people behind him, preparing to fly into the city. You are seeking death. However, just as the 4 were about to fly into the city, a furious shout suddenly resounded in the sky. Following that, for dragon, roars rang out. A white-clad man holding the reins in his hand drove 4 deep-sea, flood, dragons on a war chariot, charging over with a surging aura. The instant the black-clad old man made a move, Xiao Chen's face sank. Unexpectedly, this group of people did not care about anything to this extent. Disregarding their status, they even attacked the city guards, minor characters who were only martial monarchs. This was intolerable. A murderous intent flashed in Xiao Chen's eyes as he drove the flood dragon war chariot forward.